Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland Sommers.
All right, everybody, welcome in. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland Sommers, right here on Dayton's home of the Cincinnati Reds. 1410 Wing AM. How are all of you? Welcome in. Thank you for being patient. And I don't think you were that upset that you had to wait for the show today as you get to listen to the Reds beat up on the Pirates to close out a 3-game sweep over Pittsburgh. The Reds have now won 5 straight since getting, beat pretty badly on opening day against the St. Louis Cardinals. But they took 2 or 3 from the Cardinals in the opening season series, and then they followed that up with a sweep over probably the worst team in baseball in the Pittsburgh Pirates. And again, before an 11-4 year final here today, Luis Castillo gets the win. Again, Luis Castillo already his second start of the season. Things went, basically as bad as they went in game 1 against the Cardinals. It was the complete opposite of that performance here today. He was in absolute control of his stuff. The Pirates don't even look like they deserve to be a Major League Ball club right now, but unbelievable. Kev, I get it when you hit a reset button and you're rebuilding, but man, that's atrocious how you could throw that product out there. I ain't taking anything away from what the Reds just accomplished. I'll get to that in a bit. But in any sport, if you look that bad at any point in any sport, like there has to be some kind of happy medium of rebuilding, but also giving you could fill in the non-FCC approved word at the end. That's freaking embarrassing. Even the Reds during their worst stretches during this rebuild over the last 5, 6, 7 years have never looked as atrocious as the Pirates. That stuff's getting old. That's not good for sports. It's not good for baseball. It's not good when NBA teams get beat by 50 and 60 points. It's just not good. It's not good when NFL teams get beat 55-7 or whatever it is. It is not good. You were supposed to be professionals, and that is what you roll out there. Again, the Reds, you do what you're supposed to do. You beat bad. You don't just beat bad teams, you bludgeon bad teams, and that's what they did. But man, Pittsburgh, what a damn embarrassment that was. Holy smokes.
Yeah, in the NBA, the Philadelphia 76ers had the process and trust the process and everything like that. They basically were going out there with a bunch of guys that should be in the G League or shouldn't even be in the NBA and everything like that. And then that eventually turned into Joel Embiid. It turned into Markelle Fultz, who eventually they traded to Orlando. That turned into Ben Simmons. Right now they're, sitting pretty in the Eastern Conference, and they got an MVP candidate on their team. They have something to show for it, but that's the difference between baseball and basketball. There's a quick fix. You can get guys that at least will be entertaining. Even when Philadelphia 76ers were, tanking and everything like that, they just basically threw the only guy out there that was worth playing in the NBA, Michael Carter-Williams, out there and just said, hey, you just do everything. And Michael Carter-Williams won Rookie of the Year. His best year, by the way, he was getting triple doubles left and right. It wasn't because Michael Carter-Williams was really that good. It's just because you were the only guy that was any halfway decent that should be in the NBA. So you got something to look at. In baseball, you don't have that. And then it doesn't turn around into something that is fixed quick. Like now you have Ben Simmons, now you have Joel Embiid, now you have guys that's wanting to come to your team as free agents. It don't happen like that in baseball. You have to literally start from the ground and make draft picks of guys that are in high school or in college. Then they have to go off and play AA, AAA, Dayton, Louisville, all across the country before they even called up to the major leagues. And even when they're called up to the major leagues, there ain't no guarantee they're going to be any good when they get to the majors. So baseball is a tough process when you're trying to rebuild, especially in a market the size of Pittsburgh, where you can't just basically buy free agents and have them come to your team because, with the Mets, as bad as the Mets are from time to time, they can always just go ahead and drop a bag and go get themselves a Frankie Lindor and say, hey, we're back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's what they've done. The Mets, absolutely. But with the Reds, I don't care who the Reds have played already. Sure. Let's be clear. And by the way, we're live on Facebook, so head to Facebook, search The Justin Kinner Show. You could jump in on the conversation there, again, reacting to the Reds' 11-4 Game 3 win over the Pirates. They close out the sweep. The Reds are 5-1 to start. Keep in mind, the Reds they have not had a winning April since 2013. I mean, it's been a long, long time. 2013 was the last time this Reds team has had a winning April. And there's still a lot of April left to to be played. They still have to play the Dodgers. They still have to play a lot of good teams. But right now, they just played a good team in the Cardinals. They swept a very bad team in the Pirates. And for anyone that's trying to take away what the Reds have accomplished by saying, oh, it's the Pirates, well, then you know what? You don't understand what the hell you're talking about, because in baseball, it's very easy to even lose to the bad teams, especially during a 162-game season. Right. And it's very easy to lose in April when two of your starting pitchers are out. You've got a good chunk of your lineup that's also out at the same time. The Reds have all the excuses in the world. David Bell, the manager, misses some time in spring training after the death of his brother. There's so many distractions. There's so many things going on in that organization right now. They lose their Cy Young pitcher in Trevor Bauer to the Dodgers. I mean, the Reds had more leave than come in, and yet here they are, 5-1. They've won nothing yet. But even if they were 1-5, I'd be telling you they've lost nothing yet. But we would bury this team if they were 1-5. If they were 1-5, we would rip this team. We would just say we give up on this team. We would rip them that ownership the way we do the Cincinnati Bengals ownership. That's what we would do. So they're 5-1, and not just 5-1, Kev. I mean, their Major League Baseball's best right now is plus 31 run differential. Plus 31 run differential. They're not just. It's not like they just beat the Pirates 2-1, 3-2, and 4-3. They bludgeoned them. They have put double-digit runs on the board in 3 of their last 4 games. In the game 2 against the Cardinals, they put 9 runs up on the board. This team is hitting. They are hitting home runs. They're hitting singles, doubles, triples, extra base hits. They are literally just destroying every pitcher that they face. They're taking care of business. They're beating good teams. They're destroying bad teams. They have an off day tomorrow. Then they hit the road for a West Coast swing, which, of course, that's always tough for the Reds. But these are the responses right here that are my favorite. This comes from David Shaw. Let me make sure that I changed the setting on this so everyone can read this. If the Reds are 1-5, I'd be saying the same thing. He spells it out. RELAX. Relax. Yes, they are hitting, but damn, it's 6 games, and they just swept the Pirates, not a division winner or a contender. Well, thank you, bringing that wisdom to the show. What would we do without that wisdom right there? Again, it's not like at this point, as I just said, they're not winning anything in April. But you can lose a lot in April, and the Reds don't win in April. And Shaw, I wouldn't get you to. I get why you wouldn't understand what we're talking about here. But the bottom line is that this Reds team is not just beating teams; they're bludgeoning teams. I'm happy with what we're seeing, and you Reds fans should be as well. 457-9464. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. Because I tell you what, right now, I don't expect this run to continue in regards to putting up double-digit, runs every single game. But man, Jonathan India, I can't remember the last time a Reds rookie has dominated, this quickly into their career again. He can go on a slump, but so could everybody. There's really not a whole lot to complain about this team. I really thought a week into the season we'd already be dissecting, man, where do the Reds go from here? Just Castellanos and Moustakas become trade chips if they're not even contenders. They're not contenders right now. That's 6 games in, but that doesn't mean you can't be excited about what you are seeing, because we are so used to counting this team out a week into the season. We're so used to having to put up with everything. So, and Shaw says, so I'm too stupid to understand what's going on. I don't think you're stupid. I just think your comments are stupid. There's a big difference, Shaw, and I think you are even smart enough to understand that. Don't come in here and give me the whole, the Reds 1-5, you're 5-1, it's only 6 games, yada, yada, yada. That's a perfect Shaw, by the way. I've never met him or heard him talk, but if that was him, that would be him right there. 1-5, 6 games, RELAX. I don't know who your team is, Shaw, but if it was your team with the plus 31 run differential, just bludgeoning opponents and having a hot start after having 6 straight losing Aprils, I promise you would be excited too. So take your little poo-poo rain parade and take it elsewhere.
WYNG 1410 Dayton.
I'll see you're going to mess it up. You got to pause it. What? We're back. Oh, so you got to tell me when you do that. I didn't know what the hell you were doing right there. But good call, by the way. We have to make sure we hit that legal. I lost track of time. David Shaw has me all fired up over there trying to rain on the parade. David Shaw was waiting for that every time the Red. Oh, my team is 0-4. Well, then get out of here. Your team's buried. They're over. They're done.
Who's his team?
I don't have no clue who his team is. I've got to
be. Who is 0-4?
He's also a Michigan football fan. So if that says anything.
Detroit's 3-2. So he's definitely not a Tigers fan. I don't know, but either way, he'll tell us. But you know what? This is the thing about it. You got to start somewhere.
Yep.
And, last year, for whatever reason, the Reds made the playoffs. People are going to say, oh, it was a truncated season or whatever. So what? They still made the playoffs. That's a step. Now you start off pretty solid in April to start the next season off. You continue to make strides and continue to make steps in the right direction of trying to get a pennant. So I'm not going to poo-poo them beating the Pirates. So what? That's the Pirates' problem. That isn't the Reds' problem. The Reds are trying to win a pennant and go back to the World Series. They should not be worried about who they're beating. Don't make excuses for winning. And not only did they win, they beat them down like they're supposed to. You're supposed to beat down a bad opponent. And that's what the Reds did. Now, we can get all dissected and talk about, oh, man, they gave up a granny. But you know what? That granny didn't matter because they scored 11 runs. You know what I'm saying? So you can do all those type of things. You can just be like, pass the buck, like, oh, man, that team sucks. But guess what? If they'd have lost to that team, we have real problems. But they didn't. They won. And people should be happy about their team winning baseball games because that's something they haven't done in a long time.
Yeah, we go through this, or, I always have to position it this way, too. Like for a college football example here, there's times Ohio State plays the Sisters of the Poor, right? I mean, they play Miami of Ohio. They'll play Bowling Green. They'll play all these teams that are good for cute little MAC schools, but they have no business being on the same field as Ohio State. But when Ohio State bludgeons them, what do people always say about Ohio State? They don't play anybody. They haven't played any. Yeah, and they're destroying them. You're doing what you're supposed to do. Because if you don't destroy those teams, if you only beat Miami of Ohio like 28-21, guess what? We're going to rip Ohio State for only beating Miami of Ohio 28-21. Shaw, it's not that the Reds won. It's how the Reds won. The Reds literally, and again, this is why I have in my notes here that I learned more about the Reds again in this series with the Pirates than I did about the Reds in the series with the Cardinals. And the Cardinals, that was a 10 times better opponent that they beat. Plus, it was the Cardinals. It's a division rival. But the Pirates, I learned so much about the Reds because the Reds have had a habit in years past of playing down to the level of competition, or they would have a huge series against the Cubs or the Cardinals or the Brewers. They'd feel good about themselves. They'd be riding high. They'd have a ton of momentum, and then they'd go play a bad Pirates team, and then they'd crap the bed against the Pirates. And it's like you just undid everything that you were able to do against a good team. So I really was actually nervous about the Pirates series, as crazy as that sounds. After they took 2 or 3 from the Cards, I was pretty pumped. I was like, that's a hell of a way to start the season, but you cannot turn around and then drop 2 or 3 to the Pirates. Hell, even winning 2-1, which I predicted they took 2 or 3 because I never predict sweeps. I predicted 2-1, but if they
they're ahead of pace.
So they're ahead of pace. They are. They're ahead of the Kenner. Me guess. Trying to figure projections, I guess. But keep in mind that if the Reds were to drop 2 or 3, we would be ripping this team right now. We would be saying how this is not a good baseball team right now. But they didn't just beat the Pirates. They bludgeoned the Pirates, and that's all you can ask for. That's not all you can ask for. All you can ask for is that you at least take 2 or 3. They went above and beyond. They took all 3, and they destroyed them in the process. Plus 31 run differential, 6 games in. There's still a lot of baseball left to be played. A lot of baseball left to be played. All right, there's 150-plus games remaining, and there could be a lot more bad games coming up for the Reds. There's going to be games where the Reds probably lose by double digits a time or two because even the Yankees, that'll happen to them. It's going to happen to the Dodgers. Good teams like the Braves. Shaw's a Braves fan, by the way. Braves fan, they're 0-4, whatever. Good teams are going to lose. Bad teams are going to get some wins. Not one series or 2 series is the tail of the tape for the entire series. But when we crack this mic, it's to react to what the hell's going on right now. And what's going on right now is the Cincinnati Reds are 5-1. They've won 5 straight, and they are the hottest team in baseball. And that is all that matters to me, man. I felt pretty good about that win. I think right now it's been a while since we've had something to be excited about, especially if you are a fan of any team in Cincinnati. I promise you that much. I mean, this is how you do it. Reds, Cincinnati Reds, not like the Cincinnati Bengals. You win 4 games and you act like you won a damn Super Bowl. We're talking about actually, coming out hot, winning games that you shouldn't, like you did against the Cardinals. Technically, if you're going to talk to, people doubting the Reds, and then not just beating a bad opponent, but bludgeoning a bad opponent. How about this quote right here from Amir Garrett? This was done, yesterday. This quote was made yesterday, Kev, that he says, I want everybody to think that the Cincinnati Reds are like the cockiest team ever. We're some bat-flipping, showboating sons of guns, and I want everybody to know that. I know Amir Garrett, of course, makes that quote and then gives up a grand slam or whatever. But keep in mind that the Reds need this kind of I think baseball is boring. I think it's dry. I think it's dull. I think it needs more guys like Tatis Jr. and guys like that. Like, I think it needs more personalities like Amir Garrett. I'm hoping Amir reaches that star level that Tatis Jr. and some of those others are right now. But Amir is one hell of a pitcher, one hell of a guy to have in the bullpen. I think, he still worries me a bit. I think he walks guys. I mean, to be a closer, I think he walks too many batters. I don't like that he gave up that grand slam late, but I do think that Amir Garrett, when he's locked in, he's much different. I don't know know what your intensity level is like if you're Amir Garrett coming in with an 11-run lead. I'm not saying that he will never give up a grand slam the rest of the year, but there's a difference between coming in when you're up 1 or 2 runs and then coming up and you're up 11. I don't think that you're getting the typical Amir Garrett intensity that you're accustomed to. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But what I love about this is, since the Big Red Machine, even the 90 World Series team, Kev, didn't have any kind of personality. They were a good baseball team. They won the World Series, then off you went. Haven't been back since. What the Reds need is a personality. They need an identity. And I think when you have guys like Nick Castellanos, who are going right at the. And by the way, how about Nick Castellanos? He had a hit more, at least one hit in every single game. One of the league leaders in home runs right now. Him in the start with Naquin as well. By the way, thank you for that. You're a Cleveland Indians fan, and they just basically handed him to us. So we are very pleased with the results from him here in the early going. But the Reds, I tell you, salary dump. One man's trash is another man's treasure, and the Reds are definitely benefiting from that. But what I love about what the Reds are doing right now is, I love that line. My favorite line in that quote from Amir Garrett: "We're some bat flipping, showboating sons of guns." I wish he would have said sons of bitches, man. I would have loved that. We're bat flipping, showboating sons of bitches, man. Like, that's what I would have loved to hear from Amir Garrett. But keep in mind, that's what the Reds need. They need that personality. They need that energy. They need that excitement, because when you get that energy, that excitement, and along with the production, now you have something cooking there, because now you're not just a team that's winning games. You are winning with flair. You're winning with personality. Now you're not just a good team, like a dry winning. I mean, keep in mind, like the Rays, they win 90-plus games. That's a good baseball team. Kev, they're drier than chalk. I mean, it is. I can't watch them. I mean, I watch them, but I don't like sprint to the TV to watch them. There's just no personality. They're just eh. But the Reds, they could be that next team, possibly. Not just basing it off of 6 games. I'm basing it off the personalities they have on this roster. Castellanos was a pit bull for them last year. He was a no-nonsense guy last year, even in the 60-game shortened season. Amir Garrett's always had that attitude and that flair. He went on and took on the whole damn dugout against the Pirates last year, or 2 years ago, whenever that was. The bottom line is that the Reds have personalities, and if you can get those personalities to be on full display along with the production, like what we're seeing now, it's only 6 games, but again, I still think that this could be something that could snowball into something bigger. A week from now, we could be talking about how the Reds dropped 4 of 6 on the road, and we're right back to where we started, but you can't get to where we want them to go without doing what they've done right now, and this is how you want to start a season, with a lot of momentum and a lot of the talking eyes on you.
Yeah, we had this debate about Chad Johnson and AJ Green, and majority of people said AJ Green, and then we looked at the stats, and the stats were basically identical, and just a little bit in AJ Green's favor. But we remember Chad's personality. We remember him scoring touchdowns. Personality can take you a long way, and personality brings eyeballs to the television. And that's what baseball needs, eyeballs on the television when they're on. So if you're going to be hitting home runs, bat flipping, high-fiving your teammates, talking trash, getting the fans into it, I'm all for it, man. Like, I love that type of stuff, man. I know there's a lot of people out there that say, score a touchdown, hand the ball back to the referee, act like you've been there before. You know what? It's hard work to score a touchdown. It's hard to hit a home run. It's hard to strike out a major league batter. Fist bump, get excited. I love it, man. It's hard work, and you guys out there doing that on the field gets the crowd into it. It gets the fan base into it. And if somebody don't like it and they want to bump their gums, then let's get it on.
Bump their gums. I like that. Don't bump your gums. I must steal that. Right? Enough bumping of the gums, I'm telling you right now. Ron Howard on Facebook says, why didn't Bell leave Castillo in to at least a hit? When's the last time that the Reds have had a pitcher pitch a complete game? Ron, I ain't gonna let you spew your negativity. I feel good about David Bell and the Reds right now. Look, and this is what I always tell people. I'm not a hypocrite. When things are good, when things are bad, I tell you that they're bad, and when things are good, I tell you that they're good. I don't dislike David Bell. I dislike David Bell's managerial style at times, but the things that I've complained about David Bell in the past, he hasn't done to start the season. And they are winning. If the Reds were winning while David Bell was doing all his witchcraft, double switches, doing all these Harry Potter spells with the lineup and everything, if they're winning and he's doing that, more power to him. But when you're losing and doing that, it's my favorite line from Alex Rodriguez. I know not a lot of people are fans of his his broadcasting work in the playoffs last year. But my favorite line of all time from Alex Rodriguez last year during the playoffs was, teams will accept losing playing the new way, playing the analytical way, than they will win the old school way. You would rather lose playing the new school way than win playing the old school way. And that's where I draw the line with accepting all the advanced mathematical, analytical BS crap, whatever. Because the bottom line is, you know what's pretty simple to understand? The Reds are scoring more runs than their opponents, and that's all you need. I don't need to know what XYZ minus 2 times 45 divided by your house with the tree on top. I don't need to know any of that. I just need to know that when that ball leaves the ballpark, that it's a run up on the board. And if there's, if the little yellow dot is on the bases and that ball leaves the ballpark, then however many yellow dots there are, it's like Michael Scott. Explain it to me like I'm 5. That's what baseball should be. The dumber baseball is for the fans, the easier it is for them to follow, and the more fans you're going to have following it. If your fans have to go to damn college to take an advanced calculus class just to be able to understand what the broadcasters are saying and watching, you're not going to grow the damn sport. So leave the nerd stuff at home. I ain't going to deal with that. Doug Toby on Facebook says, I know it's early, but last year I kept saying batting 212. How can you blame Bell? Where are the Bell haters now, batting 320? Doug Toby, I can counter with that. I was putting it, first of all, anytime a team loses and plays bad, that is on the manager, that is on the coach. That's just the history of, sports. But with that being said, when David Bell literally is, when guys are hot and takes them out of the order, that drives me nuts. You take your best hitters out of the lineup, that drives me nuts. When guys are rolling, you take them out of the lineup. So when they're hitting 212 and you have a guy that has an 8-game hit streak, like there was a one point where Suarez had an 8-game hit streak last year and he just took him out of the lineup. I'm like, but he was one of the few pieces I was hitting well last year, and you took him out of the lineup. And then Suarez would go on this big drought for the next 2 weeks after that. That's on David Bell, over-managing. You know what David Bell has done this year, Doug, that there's nothing to complain about? He's left the lineup alone. He's left Naquin, and now some of it's not exactly his choosing because some guys are, feeling under the weather, some guys are sick, but he's rolling out the same lineup, the same order. All right, minus 1 or 2, which you're not going to have a same order and lineup for 162 games. But my God, you got to let one particular lineup in one order breathe a little. You can't just throw out one order one day. That lineup puts up 10 runs on the board, and then you put out a completely lineup the next day, and then sit there and scratch your head and say, "Well, gee, I don't understand why it's not working." It's not that hard to figure out. So, Doug Toby, yes, I agree with you. I know it's early, but don't start pumping your chest yet, because David Bell, once he gets everyone back and healthy, he might start maneuvering the pieces. But I am not a Bell hater right now. Bell has this team playing inspired baseball, and that's all that you can ask for. But man, it's pretty fun being a Reds fan right now. At least it should be. I don't care if it's 6 games in.
You speak about that, and I saw yesterday the Mets pulled DeGrom out the game after he was willing and dealing, and then they blew the lead to the Phillies yesterday, because of analytics. And he was out there. I don't think he had a no, but he was still, it was like, I want to say the 7th inning, and it was like 3-1
time through the order mess that they always do.
And I was like, I just happened to catch it on ESPN last night as I was winding down, and then and this is where things go wrong for the Mets. They pulled DeGrom in the first game, and then Philadelphia rallied and came back to win. But that goes to your point. I just don't get it, man. I've had baseball people try to explain it to me multiple times, and it's just something that I just don't understand, man. If you're hot, keep it going, man. You don't do that in football. If they can't stop you running the ball, you keep running the ball. Literally, if they can't stop the counter trap to the left, guess what? Counter trap to the left until they stop it. Why would you do that in baseball? I just don't understand.
Oh, I'm so with you. It's like they haven't stopped it, but they're probably going to stop it. So we gotta roll before they do. In football, you're right. That's okay, if you keep handing it to your running back that's averaging about 7-8 yards a carry, and man, that's 10 straight carries of 8 yards a carry. I don't think we should give it to them anymore. They're going to figure it out eventually. And then if you're trying to make the anticipatory moves, and that's called being afraid. If you take your pitcher out because you think that they're going to start hitting him, you are you're afraid, and you're setting the scared tone instead of just saying, no, I'm going to send my best guy out there. And you know what? If he goes and has to pitch a full 9 to dominate the opponent to get the win, and he has to miss his next start because of it, then so be it. But, the Cowboys said this during the broadcast last year too, is that what drives them nuts is when managers make a decision in tonight's game to try and win a game months from now. If you don't win now, the games months from now don't matter. If you don't win now, that could keep, everyone's like, got to stay fresh, in case they make the playoffs. Well, if you don't win now, that could be what keeps you from the playoffs. So when the Cowboys said every decision you make has to be about winning and winning now, because fans will forgive you if you lose because of injuries down the stretch. Now they'll come up with, you ran his arm into the ground like we do at Dusty Baker and that type of deal. But the bottom line is you play to win the game and you play to win now. When you play to try to win down the road, you're not promised that you're even going to be in the position that you are right now. Keep trying to win now. But yeah, with DeGrom, I guarantee you it's early in the season. We don't want to run their arms into the ground.
The first game.
And by the way, Luis Castillo did pitch deep into the ball game, but that's because he had such an efficient day today too. I'm okay with pitch counts. I'm okay with about that 100 pitch range. You got to be averaging about 15 pitches an inning. If you get about 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90, 105, I like my starting pitchers to go into the 7th inning. And then you have the 8th and 9th. Then, you get 7 innings out of your starter, middle relief pitcher coming into the 8th, and you have your closer to close it out of the 9th. You could average about 15 pitches an inning. That's how you're going to get to that 7th inning. Some guys are in the 100, almost knocking on the 100 pitch door by the time they get into the 5th. I have no problem if David Bell pulls him for that. But there were so many times last year and the year before, Kev, where Sonny Gray would be rolling at like 58 pitches and he's being taken out in the 7th, and we're like, what are you doing? Like, he's rolling. He has so many more pitches to go. It's just the anticipatory yank is what I do not like when it comes to that. So there you go. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers. So Reds fans, we're going to step aside. When we come back, I want to hear from you. 457-9464. Am I overreacting? I know it's only 6 games, but if they were 1-5, you'd bury them. You would bury them. So if you bury them when they're 1-5, why would you not go crazy when they're 5-1? That doesn't make any sense. It just proves that we always have to find a problem with something. Oh, they're 5-1. Yeah, but it's early. Talk to me in June. Oh man, they're 1-5. I knew this team sucked. Like no one was saying, oh, they're 1-5. Like Pirates fans today aren't saying, oh, they're 1-5. But hey, talk to me in June. They'll be good in June. No, they're freaking out, man. They're already putting the nail in the coffin on the season. So the Reds are 5-1, plus 31 in run differential. Reds fans, should we be excited? I am. I'm the most negative person in the world. 457-9464. We'll take your calls when we come back. Let's hear it, Reds fans.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy, a high near 82. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers, a low around 60. And tomorrow's going to be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, a high around 73. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Spring is here. The grass is starting to grow, and you need to mow now with 0% for 42 months retail financing on new Hustler zero-turn mowers. That's right. Qualified buyers can enjoy 0% for 42 months on qualifying Hustler zero-turn mowers. Come in to Small Engine Service Pros today and get that Hustler Turf zero-turn lawnmower you've been dreaming of. Qualified buyers with minimum purchase. Other restrictions apply. See dealer for complete details. Visit Small Engine Service Pros, 2030 North Dayton Lakeview Road, Route 235 in New Carlisle.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/hire. That's ZipRecruiter.com/hire.
Let me get right back to you. Sandra, those banners go out tonight. Can you pack them?
Indeed knows unexpected growth can stretch your business thin.
On machine 4?
Like at Monica's Print Shop. To fulfill orders on time, she needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And the moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first sponsored job post. Terms and conditions apply.
On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER and ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
You know, this has been a really challenging year for everyone in Dayton. As the economy turns around and more people get out, accidents will begin to happen. If you've been injured in an accident, my team of attorneys, Blake Maislin, we are here for you. 4444. Colder temperatures and the wet stuff are on the way, and it can often make for hazardous driving. And just remember 444-4444. If you get hurt, if you get into an accident, we're always here for you 24/7. Call the law offices of Blake Maisland, 444-4444, or look us up on the web at wantmore.com.
If I'm not commuting anymore, where do I really want to live?
While you handle life's questions, Merrill Guided Investing helps you manage your portfolio and invest for your next move with the option to work with an advisor at a low cost and minimum. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/investing goals to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
Confession time. I almost feel guilty about how much I just saved at Kohl's. Almost. The epic deals are so good, you'll feel like you're getting away with something. Like spring tees for less than $10. Sandals that me and my family will wear all season for $29.99 and under. And bedding is 40 to 60% off. I even got Kohl's Cash, so I'm totally going back for those sunglasses I saw. Can't have fun in the sun without great shades, am I right? Select styles ends April 11th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohls.com for details.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Huber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we are back on Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers, right here on Dayton's home of the Cincinnati Reds, 1410 Wing AM. Right now, the Cincinnati Reds, they came into this matchup today leading the league in runs with 46 runs. That was before their 11 runs today. That now puts them at 57 runs right now. So the total runs on the season has not been updated, but as far as a plus 31 run differential, just bludgeoning their opponents. I joked on Twitter earlier. I said, it's going to be funny when the Reds do return to normal and they start beating opponents just 4-3 or 5-3 or 4-2. We're going to feel like they're underperforming. We're going to feel like, oh man, this team fell asleep. They've fallen asleep offensively. The only problem, if there is a problem that I have with the way they're playing right now, is like this isn't normal. Even the best of the Dodgers are the best team in baseball, at least on paper. The Yankees, pretty good as well. They will not finish the season with numbers like what the Reds are putting up right now. So enjoy this run. I do think that the Pirates have helped propped up some of these numbers as well. I mean, the Pirates, they are atrocious, but 2 games over this 5-game win streak were against the Cardinals, and that is one of the best clubs in baseball, at least from an organization standpoint, player standpoint. It's a different level that you're playing than the Pirates, but I do need fans just to remember that when they do return to normal on the West Coast and they're winning 3-1 or 4-3 or even losing 4-3, it's not that they've all of a sudden become bad offensively. It's just that they're now normal offensively, averaging nearly 9 runs a game right now. That's not normal. The last 2 years, 3 years, the highest runs average team in baseball was about 5 or 6 runs a game. So that's the thing right now. Averaging about 9 runs a game. Even if you get down to that 4 to 5 to 6 runs a game average, you're still going to be thinking, man, we're just not hitting the ball as well as what we did to start. But I threw out the question before going to the break about, I keep hearing too many fans trying to water down the Reds' success early. It's only 6 games. You heard David Shaw earlier. He chimed in on Facebook. RELAX. If the Reds were 1-5, I'd be saying the same thing. Yeah, they're hitting, but damn, it's 6 games. Plus, they just swept the Pirates. Blah, blah, blah. We've heard it all. Everyone's going to try and hate on the Reds and try to downplay it. My counter to that was, if they were 1-5, we would bury them. If they were 1-5, we would not be giving them the benefit of the doubt, saying, well, they're 1-5 to start, but it's a long season. season. Now, technically, it would be a long season, and we would be wrong for burying them at 1-5, but we would bury them at 1-5. So if we would bury them at 1-5, we need to be excited that they're 5-1. It's about the now. React to the now. Live in the now. And this Reds team is the hottest team in baseball to start. And the big narrative about this team is how atrocious they are to start the season. So they flipped that narrative. Let's enjoy it. But Reds fans, am I being a little bit too optimistic? Am I a little too excited? How are you feeling about this team? Have you bought in yet? Are you as pumped about this Reds start to the season as I am? 457-9464. Kev, who we got first?
We got Scott.
Scott, kick us off, man. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, Justin and Kev?
Hey.
Good.
I say carpe diem, baby. Let's enjoy it while we can.
Right.
We've had to suffer through so many seasons. If you can't enjoy them when they're winning, when are you going to enjoy it?
And
good. Go ahead.
No, and to counter that too, it's like you're right. You know, if when can you love on them? Because honestly, they could be kicking ass well into June, Scott, and we could still say, well, it's only June. There's still July, August, and September left. Like, at what point are you allowed to enjoy success of a team? Because if we don't enjoy it now, and then if they do what some people are going to think is that they're going to hit a wall, then we're going to go from not enjoying when they were winning to being miserable if they start losing, and then it's like we never enjoyed any of this at all. I don't think there's any harm whatsoever in putting forth a lot of effort and excitement, even if it is just 6 games. They're kicking ass right now. They're not just winning, they're bludgeoning teams, and that's what's impressive.
Well, and at the end of the season, if you are a playoff team, you have to sweep the bad teams.
Yep.
That's called being a playoff team. The other thing I wanted to talk about before you hang up on me real quick is our manager. He is a disruptor. He is very much someone who does not let players play with rhythm and confidence. The minute somebody's having a bad day or two, they're off. And, I mean, players need to play through that. I mean, if you have a 20-game slump, yeah, give them a day off. But, you know, Suarez needs to work into his rhythm. Our manager's crap.
Well, hold on. Now, usually I'm on the bash David Bell train, okay, but I'm going to be patient.
I'm always on it.
And that's I'd usually be right there. Hell, I'm usually driving the bus when it comes to that. But keep in mind, I don't know. I didn't hear at any point what the reason for Suarez being out was, because not only does he need to be in the lineup to kind of keep it going from an offensive standpoint, but he's playing a different position. He's playing shortstop, and he's already one of the league leaders in committing errors at that position right now. So he needs as many, reps out there as far as that goes. And then the other thing I heard the Cowboy and some other broadcasters say throughout is, man, David Bell, it's very important that he gets Winker and some of these guys some at-bats. You don't need to get them. If they had their responsibility, they had the opportunity to swing a hot bat coming into the season. The guys that are swinging the hot bat now, you ride it until they cool off, and then you don't just cut them out. You kind of let them play through it like you said. You're saying let them play through some of the struggles, and I'm saying let them play through some of the highs as well, because I think David Bell's done a good job of he's left the order alone so far 6 games in. Yeah, there's been tweaks here and there. I'm not a big fan of the Suarez thing, but again, when David Bell makes decisions that result in Reds wins, who am I to critique it? But when all he did was lose for the first couple of seasons, I wasn't going to sit there and praise him. That's what Reds fans were getting frustrated with me about. But yeah, I'm going to be patient with David Bell for just a little bit. Right now they're winning and playing well, but I'm usually with you with where you're at mentally right now.
You remember when he pulled Miley out the other night, and what was the very first pitch that the reliever pitched? It was a home run. The Pirates jacked it out of the park. I'm sorry. I just don't. He's a rhythm buster. He's a confidence destroyer. And if the Reds make the playoffs, it will be in spite of his terrible management.
Wow. That's look, and I'm only smiling while you're saying these things is because usually I'm saying the exact same things you are. I'm just trying to be more positive.
He's no Lou or no Sparky. Trust me.
Hell, he's no Dusty Baker. I'll take Dusty Baker any day, but I gotta be kind here because I do think David Bell's a great person and he's winning right now, and that's all that matters. And he got into the playoffs last year, even though it was kind of a back, underhanded way to get him there. The back doorway, extra team, got him in there. But the point is, he got him there. But all we remember is we don't remember that they got there. We remember what they did when they got there, which was a whole lot of nothing. So, but this is a great way to counter that, man.
Go Reds. We're going to go undefeated the rest of the season.
There we go. I love the negativity followed up with the Go Reds. There you go. Take care, man. 457-9464. How are you feeling about the season, Reds fans? What's your gut telling you? I'm not willing to beat up on David Bell yet. Yes, I don't like that Suarez wasn't in the lineup today. Actually, it's not that I don't like that he wasn't in the lineup. I don't like that he wasn't out on the field. And I know that you have Kyle Farmer and you have guys that you want to give reps to, but the bottom line, like my big thing is what happens when Shogo Akiyama comes back? Because right now you have Castellanos, you have Naquin, you also have Winker, you also have Nick Senzel. That's 4 outfielders who are all hitting the ball really well. Winker hasn't got a ton of at-bats because he's felt under the weather going back to the Cardinals series, and we haven't seen him since. But keep in mind that when Shogo Akiyama is healthy enough to play, what do? You have 5 outfielders. Shogo's going to be the weak man out a bit, but that's going to be because he hasn't really got any true at-bats, slow start to the season. So David Bell has a lot of juggling to do, but I am concerned about the decisions he's going to make with that could, ruin this. My problem with David Bell is at times I do think he approaches it. It's a 162-game season. We got to have plenty of time. And you have plenty of time, but whenever the allotted time that you're experimenting and losing, you're shooting yourself in the foot and you're canceling out the rest of the time that you're trying to get to. That's my biggest concern. But right now, I'm all about the now. 457-9464. Are you saying it's only 6 games? Who cares? Don't get too excited. Or are you saying, damn it, we've waited a long time to see this Reds team show some flair, some energy, some personality, and win. They're doing all of those things. I say, yes, it's only 6 games, but you know what? This has been the best 6-game stretch that I've watched since they blew this thing up back when they had Cueto, Leak, for Phillips and everyone else. So I'm having a blast, even if it just is 6 games. Kev, who's up next?
We got Ray.
Ray, thanks for holding, man. How are you?
Ray?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. How you feel about this team? Are you riding high? Or are you just like, okay, Kenner, just slow your roll a bit?
I'm like any, great Reds fan. We've been watching the product they put out on the field for the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, you love to see the winning, but, are they going to hold up against the tough teams, the guys that got pitchers, that got depth? Are they going to hold up against the guys that know how to hit and stand in there and go run for run with them and, maybe steal one at the end of the night or hold on to a lead, against tough teams? We've seen them implode in the past, so Reds fans are sticking in there waiting to see how we're going to play against the tough teams.
So what you're saying is, Ray, is that you are being cautiously optimistic, that you're enjoying it, but you're not willing to invest emotionally into this so far because you're still wanting to see a little bit more. And I'm with you, by the way. Do I think that this is the best team? Statistically right now, they're the hottest team in baseball, but I don't think you've heard me once say that this is the best team in baseball. They still have a lot of flaws. And when you put up 9-10 runs a game, it's easy to hide a lot of those flaws. Those flaws are going to be exposed when you're in much tighter games. How does this team respond when they trail? We saw them kind of almost come back against the Cardinals in game 1, but they've just been dominating opponents ever since then. But here's who they have coming up, Ray. They're the 6-game West Coast trip that they struggle on the West Coast. We're going to learn a lot about them over the next week and a half. They're 3 at Arizona, 3 at San Francisco. I know it's not 2 of the best teams in baseball, but San Francisco's 2-3 to start right now. Arizona 2-3. Those are winnable series, and I think the Reds need to prove that they could take this streak and take it on the road.
Right. Are we going to have the resilience? Are we going to?
I think we lost him.
Cliffhanger. Are we going to have what, Ray? Are you still there?
Ray?
No,
There we go.
There you go.
All right. So the last thing you said was, are they going to have the resilience? Are they going to have, and then you cut off. So pick up from there.
Yeah. Are they going to, be able to hang in there on those tough road trips? 7, 8, 9 games in, and still have the stamina, still have the go power, still have the mental toughness to say, hey, we got to get this second game in here. It's still 2 out of 3. That's what we're waiting to see is, are the Reds going to be tough? Are they going to be resilient? Are they going to hang in there, or are we going 500 or better again?
No, I'm with you. And the good thing is look, Arizona's not playing. They're 2-3 to start the season. San Francisco's 2-3 to start the season. Guess what? They got Cleveland at home. They're 2-3 to start the season. Then they got Arizona again. And then they got the Cardinals. This is where they got to do some damage here in the first 3 weeks of the season, because here's how they close it out, Ray. They have 3 with the Cardinals at St. Louis, and St. Louis is pissed pissed off. They felt they got embarrassed. They don't like that Castellanos showed up one of their guys. Like, that's going to be a fun series in St. Louis. Then they got 3 at the Dodgers. They could potentially run into former foe, Trevor Bauer, which could be interesting. But the Dodgers are the best team in baseball, at least on paper right now, defending World Series champs. That's going to be a very defining series right there. And then from there, you go right into the Cubs and the White Sox. 4 very tough series to close out the month of April heading into May. So we're going to learn about them, but they got to take care of business against these winnable teams here in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But all right,
we got to hang in there with them and just keep rooting for them and keep supporting those Reds because we got a bunch of young guys and we want to see them. We want to see them succeed, so we're behind them.
Right. Thank you, man. Appreciate the call. Appreciate it. 457-9464. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. 11-4 the final. The Reds continue their win streak now at 5 after losing on opening day 11-6. The Reds have won 5 straight, taken 2 or 3 from the Cardinals, sweeping the Pirates. And again, I don't want to hear that it's just the Pirates. Sweeping a team is hard. Sweeping a bad team is hard. They just swept a bad Pirates team, but in the process of putting up double-digit runs in 3 of their last 4 games, including it could have almost been 4 of the last 5 because they even won a game 9-6. I mean, they were 1 run away from double-digit runs against the Cardinals early on. This team's playing great. I don't want to hear that, it's too early. But if you do believe it's too early, convince me why it's too early to buy into this team because I've said it a million times. If they're 1-5, we're burying them. They're 5-1. If you could bury them at 1-5, you can marry them. I was trying to come up with something that can rhyme, but if you could bury them at 1-5, you could marry them at 5-1. How about that? Who we got next, Kev?
We got Scott from Kettering.
Scott in Kettering. How are you, sir?
Hey, man. How's it going? Good to talk to you guys.
Absolutely.
This is crazy, man. I bought a house last year at the beginning of the pandemic. So, yay me, right?
Absolutely.
I've been waiting a whole year to be able to use my big screen TV that I tweeted yesterday when I was watching you guys on YouTube.
Oh, there we go.
Watch a baseball game, and we got our generic store brand cereal box season last year. Now we got a regular season that's actually worth something. I'm amped. I'm annoying my coworkers with "Let's Go Reds" all day. This is where we are in this fandom, and I understand some people may not be Reds fans first; they may be more football fans and. The season, baseball season, just something they do, in the meantime. But we're near the end of this horrible thing where we've been kept inside for a year. We can actually tangibly see fans in the stands. We have an exciting team to go watch. This should be something to celebrate, regardless if they're 5-1, 4-2, 3-3, whatever. I mean, granted, 5-1 is a lot better than those other things. 5-1 is better than 1-5, but still, we have a team that's putting in the effort to win. Each win is going to build confidence. So when we get to the Dodgers, the Brewers, the Cardinals again, they're going to know, they'll have that, quote, muscle memory, I guess. Hey, this is what we need to do to win this game and be able to push further than what they normally do instead of just kind of lollygag through the season like they do during the losing seasons. Heck, my dad is looking forward to Reds Fest, which isn't until December, to rep his Dragons green down there. This is where we are right now. This is crazy.
No, I mean, and again, it's only 6 games. I get that. But at the end of the day, it's like what you said. This is a team that has lost for so long. And last year, I'm willing to call it a playoff season. But, man, they got into the playoffs because of a very hot streak in the final 2.5 weeks of the season. But it was painful for the entire 60-game stretch. Or I should say the 45-game stretch of horrible baseball was painful. Of winning a couple and then losing quite a few and then winning a few to get you. It's like they would lead you on. They would play hard to get. And I don't like hard to get. I'm not patient enough for hard to get.
And then you went on vacation. Then what happened?
Then I went on vacation and I had to, experience a hurricane and experience the Reds going on quite the win streak and getting into the postseason. And then when they got there, they reminded everybody why the first 45 games was so tough. But, Scott, the thing is right now we've waited to see this kind of life from this Reds team because I can't tell you the last time we saw this kind of life. Even during that win streak last year, we didn't see this energy, this excitement, this personality. And that's what this Reds team needs. And I think that they're onto something here.
I'll tell you the last time I saw this energy, 2010. That throw that India pivoted and threw to the plate for the out, that reminded me of that game against the Cardinals where Ramon Hernandez caught that ball right at the end of the game for that third out, and he held that ball squeezing it.
Yeah.
Just screaming his head off. I'm like, that's that energy, and it's April. We're not even to Jackie Robinson Day yet. Like, if they can keep this energy up, even with David Bell being all stoic and everything, he actually looks like he's aged 5 years.
I said that the other day when he was up there, like, because when David Bell was hired, he came on the show with Schlemmer and I remember, we met him about 2 weeks later at Reds Fest, and then all of a sudden, we met him, and I saw a picture the other day of us, and I'm like, man, David Bell looked super young, and right now when you see him, he just looks like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, but you're right, that has aged him. But hey, Scott, we're out of time, man. I appreciate you calling, and thank you for watching on YouTube, by the way. I didn't realize this was the Scott that tweeted into the show yesterday. So thank you for that.
It is. It's me and my dad repping Dragon Green, man. We love it. Keep up the good work.
Hey, thank you. Thanks, care. Scott. All right, 457-9464. That's the number to call in and join in on the conversation. I like it, Reds fans. It's nice. Like, everyone's like, Kenner's Mr. Negativity. And here I am combating negativity. I am not going to stand for it. They're 5-1. This is why I tell people all the time, Kev, I get mad at UD fans and Bengals fans and any fan base that thinks that I hate on their team. I tell them what I'm doing now is, I'm proving it, Kev. When you're bad, and when you play bad, I'm going to tell you, hey, you're bad and you're playing bad. And when you play good, guess what? I'm going to tell you you're playing good. Hell, I ripped David Bell all the time last year. Guess what I've done today? I've defended David Bell. I've said, no, when David Bell's decisions are leading to Reds victories, who am I to say anything? But people ask you, like, oh, you're just a hater. You just like to complain. No, the team was not good. They didn't play well last year. And David Bell lost them a lot of one-run games last year. They held the last two ever since he's been here. Who am I to complain about a manager that has the team playing the hottest baseball in baseball right now? When you play well, I'm going to call it like it is. When you play bad, I'm going to call it like it is. You just got to get used to it. By the way, David Shaw, Kev, says, I wasn't trying to hate on them. I was just pointing out that it's 6 games. Oh, wow. Thank you, David. Wow. If it wasn't for you and Sesame Street, I wouldn't know how to count. I can count on you to remind me how many games. Thank you so much. And he goes on to say, but as usual, you blow your blood pressure over nothing. Man,
y'all know the routine. Put those pill emojis in the comments on Facebook.
That comeback was about as bad as the Pirates right there. Holy smokes, that was pretty embarrassing. All right, 457-9464. Kev, who's our first caller when we come back? Bob, be patient, my friend. You are our first caller on the other side of this break. It'll be about a few minutes. We'll be right back. Reds fans, we're only 6 games in, thanks to Shaw, because, I don't have a statistician, but luckily he was there to remind me that we're only 6 games in. Is it okay to be excited about the Reds' 6-game start, 5-1 start, plus 31 run differential? It's the most runs they've had through 6 games, I believe, since like in the early 2000s. This team is rolling right now. It's fun to be a Reds fan, even if it's for 6 games, because if the Reds go 1-5 their next 6, at least we're always going to have this 5-1 start, and we'll always remember it. There we go. 457-9464. Reds fans, we'll be back in a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely, like, good evening, officer. A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says I'm a catch more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff, even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression. My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill, it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Don't miss out on the opportunity to win $1,000. It's the Swing for the Fences $1,000 a day giveaway. Each hour starting at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday, we'll release a winning word that you can submit at wingam.com. It's easy, it's free, and you have everything to gain and nothing to lose. So what's stopping you? Take a chance and swing for the fences and participate at wingam.com. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
All right, we are back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers. Shout out to Dennis Train watching us live on YouTube. He says, go Reds. I love the people that are watching on YouTube. I love all the people that watch and listen, by the way, but I love watching the people that are really taking advantage of the fact that we are live on YouTube every day. My bosses are on me all the time. They're always nagging me all the time because, it's never, nothing's ever good enough. We get the Facebook stuff, rolling, get a lot of engagement there, but it's never good enough. Then they're like, Justin, what about YouTube? I'm like, what about YouTube? Who cares about you? They care about YouTube, and now I care about YouTube, and now you should care about YouTube. So head to YouTube. I'm begging you, because my boss, he's always yelling at me. I need you to get him off my back. So if you can go to YouTube and subscribe to the 1410 Wing AM YouTube channel, ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel, I would beyond appreciate it. Now, probably a lot of you that don't like me, you're like, I'm purposely not going to go like it so that Kinner can keep getting yelled at. I appreciate that energy, but no, I don't actually. Just please be a good sport. Come on. Head to YouTube. I'm begging you. You have no idea how much you'd be helping me. It's the least you could do. I don't ask for much. I'm a good sport. I people name call me all the time. I show up to work every day. They tell me how much they hate me every day. I show up to work every day. You should, if you follow me on Twitter, why I even go on Twitter is beyond me. It's like I wake up and say, man, I can't wait to be called names today. And I go to Twitter. I'm a good sport. I can handle it. I know that I could dish it out, so I take it. Now, people say, oh, your blood pressure gets all high, blah, 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 blah. I'm here, ain't I? I ain't going nowhere, which probably upsets a couple of you. But keep in mind, I really am begging. You don't like me, but you like Kev. Kev, can you do me a favor? Ask them. Ask them.
Hey, everybody. Need you guys to do us a small little favor. Follow us on YouTube. Watch the show on YouTube as well. Share it with your people. And most importantly, that good thumbs up. That thumbs up helps the algorithms, helps people watch the show and everything like that. Not only does Justin get nagged by the bosses, but me too. Even I get nagged by the bosses about
you get nagged at the bosses
things.
About like you're gonna really let Kinner say those things on the air. Like
that is also true. That is also true. I'm responsible for everything he does. So help me out. Help me by helping him, by helping you.
The boss actually told Kevin that if I ever say something that bad again on the air, that he will be fired before me because Kevin will be blamed for it.
Because I'm not hitting the dump button.
Because exactly. So you got to get your stuff together. So there is that. But no, there we go. So anyways, but no, Dennis Train says, go Reds. Yes, go Reds. How about that? Ron Howard says, I'm glad that the Reds are hot right now. That means that we won't have to hear a bunch of Browns crap. Go Browns. Just go Browns. There's that. The Reds are more like the Browns than the Bengals. They win. So there you go. Go Browns. What?
Nothing.
And there are Bengals fans who are heading to the YouTube.
Just ruined it.
And they just ruined it. All right, 457-9464. We are 6 games into the season. The Reds are 5-1. I'm being told, slow down, Kenner. It's just 6 games. Stop being excited. I feel like if that's you, you're a miserable human being. At what point are you allowed to get excited? Because if the Reds are kicking ass well into June, are you still going to be saying, it's only June, it's only 3 months, it's only 6 games, and then it's only 3 months into the season, there's still 3 months of season left. It's always going to be something. And then what will happen? I witnessed it with the Browns, Kevin. You are a witness to this. When I said, 2 years ago, I predicted they were going to win the division. The Reds didn't even make the playoffs, right? Everyone ripped them, said they can't even make the playoffs. They can't even make the playoffs. They're a joke. They're a joke. At least the Bengals made the playoffs 5 straight years. The Bengals are better still, blah, blah, blah. And then what happened, Kev? What happened? Then the Browns made the playoffs. But as they were winning to get to the playoffs, they were a 9-win team, then a 10-win team, then an 11-win team. And then it was, 11 wins, but you barely beat the Steelers' backups. That's like, you guys keep moving the goalpost. Then the Browns make the playoffs. Yeah, good luck you're not going to beat the Steelers in the playoffs. And then you beat the Steelers in the playoffs. And then what'd you do? It was a bad Steelers team. You're not going to beat the Chiefs. The Browns almost beat the Chiefs. And everyone's like, see, you suck. You couldn't beat the Chiefs. That's what miserable people do. And that's what the miserable people are trying to do with the Reds. Reds are 5-1. Oh, yeah, I bet they can't go 6-1. Then they'll go 6-1. Oh, it's only 7 games. Let's see where they're at 10 games in. Then they'll be 9-1. Oh, yeah? Well, I bet the 11th game they're no good in the 11th. Stop. You're a miserable SOB. Like, why do you got to be like that? Like, just enjoy the now. Because as I said, if they're 1-5, everyone's saying, man, the Reds suck. Told you, the Reds suck. The Reds are horrible. Castellinis don't care about winning. Brr, 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 brr. 5-1, hottest team in baseball, plus 31 run differential. You have rookies hitting the snot out of the ball. You have veterans hitting the snot out of the ball. You have Castellanos, who's literally doing the Hulk Hogan Macho Man taunt right in front of opponents as he slides into home to steal. I love it. Amir Garrett, sure, he gives up a grand slam, but I've never seen a cooler person give up a grand slam than the way he did today. I love it. They are the bat flipping, showboating sons of guns, and I absolutely love what the Reds are doing 5 games in. 457-9464. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Should we be, am I overreacting to the Reds start? That's what I want to know. Kev, who we got?
We got Bob.
Bob, thanks for holding, my friend. How are you?
You know what? Hey, Kev, I was so excited about getting on. What does he do? He started talking about the Browns.
That's Ron's fault. It's Ron's fault.
He had to start talking about them. Why? I thought we were talking the Reds. I wasn't going to bring up no Bengal stuff.
You got to blame Ron. Don't blame me. It was Ron's fault.
God. Oh, my God. Anyway.
But I made very good points, and that's what you're mad about.
No, I agree with you 1,000%. First of all, normally at this time, the Reds are out of it by the end of May. So why wouldn't you be excited? Of course you should be excited. And the way they're hitting the ball, be excited about that because, first of all, scoring 9-10 runs a game, that's not going to last. There's going to come a period of time where they're going to run into a little sloom where nobody's hitting. So enjoy it now. And really, it's like putting cash in the bank. The more wins you get now, when you have the bad times, you can ride them out because you're doing so well early. So who wouldn't be excited? But again, it's amazing when you listen to some of the people here in this area, and there probably are some of the Bengal fans, and just down on everything. Just stop it. Just enjoy what we have right now. The Reds are doing good. David Bell's not messing nothing up right now. So enjoy it, man. So enjoy it. That's where I am. So I agree with you 100%.
And that doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen often when we agree. But I know I'm a pretty negative person, but I'm like, what's there to be negative about? This team has a plus 31 run differential. They're 5-1. 2 of the 3 wins they got against, or they took 2 of 3 from the Cardinals. They didn't just beat a bad Pirates team. They bludgeoned a bad Pirates team. And that's what you would expect from a good team. The Dodgers, if they play the Pirates, you would expect that they should sweep the Pirates. There's no reason why they shouldn't. They are that good. So when you sweep a bad team, that's a good thing. I don't care if it's just the Pirates. It's you swept the Pirates. It's tough to sweep any opponent, good or bad, in baseball.
Absolutely. And I remember before this series even started, you mentioned that the thing we don't want to see the Reds win 1 and lose 2 or lose 3 or, at least go 2-1, at least win the series. And what did they do? They swept. So who couldn't be excited about that? And if you can't be excited about that, you know what? You're just a negative person. You need to stay in the house in the basement. Don't even come out and enjoy the day. So, Justin, mark this day down, Kev. Mark it down. Me and Justin are agreeing, man.
Got it. I'll even give you a who day. How about that? That's how much I appreciate that. I'll give you a who day. That's the winning spirit I'm in right now. When one wins, we all win, baby. How about that?
There we go. Absolutely. Have a good one, guys.
Take care, Bob. Appreciate it, man. See,
April 7th, 2021.
You know, I'm not like, I don't make a lot of friends during football season. In basketball season, I just make enemies. Like, I don't make a lot of friends during football season. I do nothing but make enemies during basketball season. But baseball, man, it's the time of love and giving and caring, man. Gotta love it. You absolutely got to love it. How about, so again, more comments coming in on YouTube. I love the YouTube people. I love everybody, but I love the YouTube people. And I love the name of this guy, Kozar Newsom. So there you go. He says, go Browns and Cards. You know what? Fine. Go Cards. Reds took 2 or 3 from the Cards. I feel bad for you. You're embarrassed. Go Cards. But you said go Browns. I'm all about the go Browns. Shout out to him. Tim Cockrell on Facebook, Kev, says, I'm loving the start to the season. Hope they have a good West Coast trip, because that's what I'm worried about too. Tim, I'm very worried about the West Coast because they historically don't play well on the West Coast. He goes on to say, Kev, I'm treating this like the Browns season last year, loving it, but waiting for the other shoe to drop. Tim, I would be lying if I didn't feel those same things during the Browns season. Even as they kept winning, I kept finding reasons to not enjoy the win at times. I'm like, yeah, they won, but Baker only threw for 180 yards. Remember, Kev? They were winning, and
I was here.
You were defending the Browns, and I was there ripping the Browns. Say, I was being that negative Nancy, like everyone's being with the Reds. Well, most people are being with the Reds right now. But I'm not doing that. But the thing is, though, Kev, if the Browns were winning in dominating fashion and their quarterback was throwing for 300 yards a game and the running game, we know how good the running game is, and the defense was shutting everyone out, there was nothing to bitch about with the Browns. But the Browns were winning, but there was still a lot to complain about and not feel good about. Baker throwing for 180 yards a game in those wins. I was like, well, that's fine. You could win some of those games like that, but you're not going to beat the best of the best. You're not going to win in the playoffs or make a Super Bowl run if your quarterback's averaging 180 yards a game. So I felt like I had the right to do. But with the Reds, they're averaging 9+ runs a game. They've put up 50+ runs in the first 6 games of the season. What else can you ask for? The Reds, I'm all about it. So Nolan Russell on Facebook says, go Reds, haters gonna hate. And he gave the middle, no, that's a thumb, not a middle finger. See, I'm all negative. Everything I see is always like the bad. No, is there a middle finger emoji?
Yes.
Oh, really? Is there one?
Yes.
I got to find that. I haven't been living until now that I know there's a middle finger emoji. Kozar says, Reds fan negativity, you don't say. Absolutely. My favorite 2 Browns, LOL. Absolutely. Got to love the name. All right, 457-9464. Kev, who's up next?
We got Shaw.
Oh, Shaw. How are you, Shaw?
I was fine until you wanted to act like an ass.
Oh, now come on. You're going to come in. Who's sensitive now? Who needs the blood pressure medication? You're going to act like an ass. What's wrong with you, Shaw?
Because you take every little thing I say out of context and you blow it into proportion like it's some World War III comment.
First of all, I'm not about war, I'm about peace. And second of all, okay.
No,
Hold up. You're calling in. I can tell you're upset. I don't know what's going on with Shaw. You just seem a little. Look, I think you need the blood pressure pills.
What with me?
Me? What did I do? I'm just sitting here being me. I'm me every day.
For the last 6 months, no matter what I say, you have to twist it and turn it into something that it actually isn't even in.
Well, you can call in and get all up in your feelings for Shaw. I appreciate you.
Because
you know that. I just
don't appreciate nothing but chaos. That's what you appreciate.
Oh, chaos. Now listen, you're the one talking to me like it's an episode of Sesame Street. 1, 2, 3. Like, what is wrong with you? I know that it's only 6 games. You don't got to remind me that it's only 6 games. I'm not blowing anything out of proportion. I'm enjoying the Reds win streak, and there you are just trying to poo-poo on the parade, Mr. Chaos.
I'm not poo-pooing on anything. I'm just saying hold the brakes for a minute.
Who holds the brakes? You mean pump the brakes?
Have you played the Dodgers yet? No.
No. They played the Cardinals. I'd say that's pretty good.
Have you played the Brewers yet? No. Have you played the Phillies yet? No. Have you played the Mets yet? No. I understand that you can only play what's in front of you. I get all that. I understand all that. I'm not saying I'm not saying to not be happy.
What are you saying then? Because I have no clue. Because I am happy that they're 5-1 to start. I have 5-1 to start. You're like, oh, hold the brakes, which doesn't make sense. I think you meant to say pump the brakes.
Blow it out of proportion.
I'm not. What have I done that's what have I blown out of proportion?
You're acting like this team is going to go on some magical run. And
when did I say that?
Up for failure.
When did I say that?
What you're doing is you're doing the typical Kenner. You're setting it up for when May. Now you can twist it around and throw some curveball in there and say it's Bell's fault. It's this. It's that.
And it might be if they start losing games because he's pulling guys too early or shaking up the lineup like he hasn't been 6 games in. Then it might be. That's not me pulling a Kenner. That's just called using common sense. I can see why that's a problem with you, Shaw, but I don't know why you got to call in and start calling names and calling me an ass. No. You started it. Yeah, I'm sounding like a 5-year-old now. You called me an ass, so you're lucky I'm still letting you hang out on the air a little bit after calling me a name to start things off. I'm in a damn good mood today. My Reds are 5-1, and they're about to win a World Series. How's that for overreacting?
You've already overreacted. You overreacted every time the Browns come out of your mouth.
The Browns won. They won a playoff. They made it to the playoffs and won a playoff game after everyone told me they weren't. Excuse me for being happy. Let me guess, Shaw. They've made the playoffs and won one playoff game. Let's pump the brakes. Let's hold the brakes. I'm sorry. Let's hold the brakes until they make it 2 years in a row.
That ain't me. I never said that. That's you trying to put words in my mouth. Okay. I'm just saying, calm down with the whole hyperbole like this is the greatest team known to man.
This is the greatest team of all time. The greatest team ever. Oh, yeah. They're not going to lose the rest of the way.
So they're not going to – the runs per game is going to stay right there at 10.
No, it's not going to stay. It's only going to go up. This is the greatest team of all time. Shaw, come on now. You're stretching this. You're trying too hard here to be upset.
Am I really? I really?
I really do. I think you kind of are.
Okay. That's funny. That's funny.
I am a comedian.
Well, that might be said in other worlds, yes.
All right, Shaw, good talking to you. We'll talk later, man. Take care. 457-9464. What's up?
Let me get this legal in.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
He's Kev Nash. I'm the ass. We're back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. All over the Reds winning. I'm in a good mood. Kev, there are certain days where you're looking at me like, oh, he's not in a good mood. This is going to be a long 3-hour show. I expect to be called names on certain days. Today was not the day I expected that. I was actually this is what I get for being positive. I should have stuck to the typical Kenner of, oh, the Reds are 5-1, but it's only 6 games. No. Negativity I'm not about that. I'm about being a realist. And what I'm being a realist about is the hottest team in baseball is the Reds. And by the way, Shaw, Gumby couldn't stretch that far. I never once said that this team was going to win a World Series. I was being a smartass with him on the phone a little bit. But Kev, at what point was I talking big picture? I just said for now, all I kept saying is if we're going to bury them at 1-5, we got to praise them at 5-1. And he came in all guns blazing. I mean, my good. Look, by the way, people are finding the middle finger emoji. Keith Tolliver, he just has the middle finger just going there. That's great. That is good stuff. I'm so glad that I learned that there's a middle finger emoji right there.
Oh, goodness.
Ron Howard, what? I'm not even going to read that.
Yeah. Be careful.
Did you? No, but I think I know what he's meaning to say, but this looks very strange. I'm not even going to read it, but the people on Facebook, you guys could, Scott Campbell says, hey, Shaw, the Reds can only play who is on their schedule right now. Enjoy the time that's happening now. Exactly, Scott. See, Scott gets it. Scott knows. Nolan Russell says, World Series, Ric Flair. Woo! I like it. See, it's WrestleMania week, too, by the way.
Brother.
It's WrestleMania week. I mean, and look, more middle fingers coming in. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. David Shaw says, glad I brought that out. Yeah. I love when the guys say, never mind. Chase Carter, he says, there are plenty of Reds fans that are just as excited as you, Kenner. Hopefully us fans are just as excited after the West Coast swing. And you know what, Chase? Let's say that they struggle on the West Coast. That doesn't take away from what they're doing today. Kev, when we hit the airwaves right now, as the show started, it was in nothing but complete reaction to the Reds win over the Pirates, the sweep over the Pirates after taking 2 or 3 from the Cardinals. It is when we react, it's reacting to where they are at this point of the season. I haven't even scheduled a topic. Like if you look at my rundown for the show today,
I haven't gotten to it yet.
I don't even have a rundown topic on my rundown that says, man, 5-1 to start World Series ? No, I didn't do no corny little headline like that. All I said was 5-1. Is it okay to be excited about a 5-1 start? That was the question. And then Shaw had to, like one of them little puffer fish, come in all puffed out, all angry and all upset. Ay. But I like the passion. I do. All right, 457-9464. Kev, who we got?
We got Nick.
Nick, how are you, my friend? Welcome.
Pretty good, man.
Call me an ass, please. I'm begging you. Call me an ass.
Man.
It's not that kind of call, dude. I am surprised you didn't know about the middle finger emoji. I thought you would have received droves from it now. Now that you're getting them, that's going to be like a show inside joke, and you're probably going to get them forever now.
I mean, I'm going to have people rate the show on a scale of 1 middle finger to 10. At the end, I need everyone to rate the show. I'm with you. I think we're on to something here, Nick.
You should make it a shirt, man.
I should. Oh, you know who has that shirt, by the way? And he made a lot of people mad. Do you remember Steve from Springboro?
Yeah.
He
double bars.
Yeah, he would when he'd show up to Frickers for the Sunday morning show. I mean, if you think I'm an obnoxious Browns fan, he's worse. And when I say worse, I mean in a good way. But like he wore this shirt that had the big middle finger on it that said, something to the Steelers on it. I mean, it was absolutely not appropriate for a public setting. But that's he's just a walking billboard of the show. So there you go.
I really just called with a curious question. You originated from Texas, didn't you?
Yes, from El Paso.
You are a Cowboys fan, Browns fan.
Yes.
I'm curious why you hitched your bandwagon to the Reds and not the Indians. That was all.
And that's even a good question. And thank you for the call, Nick. I appreciate it. Yep. Actually, when I grew up in Van Wert, I grew up in El Paso. I was born there, but I went to middle school in Van Wert, graduated from Van Wert. But we didn't get Reds games there. We had Indians games. Really? That's what we got. Yeah. So it's actually, and I watched Indians games all the time. Like I actually, when we'd get the video games, I was always the Cleveland Indians. But when I moved here, when I started going to college right away, I had a bunch of friends that were Reds fans. So we used to go to Great American Ballpark all the time. And I remember when I was a kid going to see Ken Griffey Jr. And I was a huge Ken Griffey Jr. fan at the time. So Ken Griffey Jr. is why I became a Red. And Ken Griffey Jr. as a Red was not even the Ken Griffey Jr. You know what I mean? So, but I started just being obsessed with the Reds because of Ken Griffey Jr. And then from that point on, it was just all Reds. But no, thank you for asking. That's a good question because, it is weird. I navigate towards the Cleveland Browns, but I don't like the Cincinnati. Look, and I promise you this, when the Cincinnati Bengals start winning and they're 11-5 and 12, actually, no, what would it be now? There'd be 13 and what would the record be? 6 or whatever. I don't know how many games they play. 19, 25. I don't even know what the hell they're playing now. They keep increasing the total. But I'll compliment the Bengals when they get to that point. But until then, I'm sticking to what I'm doing. But all right, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, 457-9464. That's the number you can call in and join in on the conversation. There are people who have probably tuned in late into this that are probably just wondering what in the world is going on. But I like the passion. I like the excitement. This goes out. Shaw, I appreciate the call. I don't care that you called me a name. I don't care that you're all fired up and that you need the blood pressure medication today. I'm a fan of you, Shaw. I appreciate you tuning in and supporting the show every day, even though I don't like your takes half the time, but I don't think you like mine, and yet you still tune in every day. So there's that. I appreciate it. Kev, I need a breather. I'm going to step away for a few moments. There's some callers on hold we're going to get to. This comes from Don Roberts on Facebook. He says, I'm a big Ken Griffey Jr. fan as well. He's the reason why I actually watched baseball when I was younger. Did Junior have more home runs with the Reds or the Mariners? Gotta
be the Mariners, right?
I would guess the Mariners. Hell, every time you want to know, by the way, the first 3 Reds games I went to watch Griffey, he didn't start at any of them. I was ticked. Now, I did in 2 of the 3 games that I got to go watch that he did not start in. He did come in late to pinch hit late in games, but I was so ticked. I couldn't wait to go to a game to watch Ken Griffey. And the 2 of the first 3 games I went to, he didn't start for him. I was so ticked off, but I did get to see him both times. Randy Berthoff says, all you have to do is get into the playoffs, is win your division. Then anything can happen. So beating St. Louis and Pittsburgh has us looking great. I hope we do well on the West Coast, but it won't affect us doing well in the division. And Randy's right. All you got to do is win your division. And right now the Reds have a nice start. Again, they've accomplished nothing. I will give Shaw that. The Reds have accomplished nothing. But at the same time, the Reds have usually failed by this point in the last 6 straight Aprils. So I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it. 457-9464. We'll continue taking your Reds reactions again right now. Everyone, there's some people that just think that Reds fans are overreacting to this. They're as excited as Reds fans are. People are laughing at the Reds fans saying, oh, stop. It's only 6 games. You're overreacting. That ain't me. I'm Mr. Negativity, but I'm all about being positive about this start to the season. You could not have asked for a better season for the Cincinnati Reds. We'll be back in a moment.
Listen, Stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy, a high near 82. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers, a low around 60. And tomorrow's going to be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, a high around 73. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Police officers know it only takes a few seconds of someone texting and driving for things to go terribly wrong. That's why officers are increasing enforcement of texting and driving laws. So put your phone down when driving, or be prepared for the consequences. You drive, you text, you pay. Paid for by NHTSA.
Express Employment Professionals matches people with the right skills with the right jobs. To find your next job, visit expresspros.com and find the location near you.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byers. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
All right, hour 3. Wait, what part of the show are we in? No, it's 5:15. See, I need Shaw to tell me what time it is, you know? Shaw needs to help me count. Apparently, he needs to remind me how many games the Reds have played. Look, I actually feel like I handled that pretty well. I don't think I've ever had a caller call me a name on the air, and I just kept on going like it was no big deal. I'm becoming numb to the abuse that I take from you listeners, which is fine. As I've said, I don't need you guys to like me. I just need you to listen to me every day. That's all I need. That's all it comes down to. By the way, we added 4 new YouTube subscribers today, so shout out to everyone that is listening to me. As I told you, my boss is just constantly riding me about the damn YouTube channel. He used to ride me about Facebook all the time. Kinner, you got to start using Facebook. You got to get that. So then I do that. Does he give me a thank you, by the way? Does my boss say, man, Kinner, you're doing a good? Nope. Calls me to the office. No, he called me to the office. I'm like, yeah, what's up? I'm expected to. What about you two?
He thanked me today.
Of course, typical.
Good job.
Typical.
Keeping Kinner in line lately.
So I'm begging you. By the way, we just got a big shipment of Reds calendars and Reds calendar magnets today. We're going to be getting some Mike Moustakas bobbleheads coming up. So we're going to be giving away a ton of free Reds stuff. Again, only not to you, Shaw. You don't get anything. You're a hater. You don't get anything. But we have a ton of Reds stuff. We're going to be giving away a lot of bobbleheads. I'm pumped about that. We're going to be giving that away. But this is my trick. I need you guys. If you help me on YouTube, I will help you with giving out free Red stuff. I'm going to be giving out to the next. Right now, we are at 29. Again, we just started this YouTube thing a while back. Okay, we've been on Facebook for over a year. We just started the YouTube channel, so I need you guys to help me out. If you are on YouTube, I need you to go subscribe it. The next 10 people, the next 10 accounts that go, or the next 10 YouTube people that go and like and subscribe to it on YouTube get a free Reds calendar. Okay, that's what I'll do for you. What?
I thought you were going to say the next 10 people to use the middle finger emoji.
Oh, no. It's been a very productive day. I didn't know that there was a middle finger emoji. I mean, there's some strange emojis out there, but the middle finger emoji is awesome. As I said, we're going to start rating the show based on a scale of 1 middle finger to 10. What would you rate the show today? In fact, I want to know now. If you're watching live on Facebook, in the comment section, or on YouTube, by the way, we're all about YouTube now too. On a scale of 1 to 10 middle finger emojis, how would you rate the show? How would you? Oh, Shaw. Oh, poor Shaw. Shaw's like, I didn't want anything anyway. He's like a child. He's like a baby. He's like a little child. I mean, he's throwing a temper tantrum right now.
Oh, man, leave Shaw alone, man.
I'm not. He called me an ass on the air. He called in and called me a name, and he expects me to sit there and, look, he says, middle finger, do I get a magnet? See? See? Child. And no, you do not. You do not. But again, in all seriousness, head to YouTube. The next 10 people that go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, 1410 Wing AM, you get a free Reds calendar. I'll be reaching out to you on your account there to set up how you can come and pick up that Reds calendar, as well as the Joe Morgan Reds calendar magnet as well. So we're pretty pumped about that. But 457-9464, Kev, who we got?
We got Ron.
Ron, how are you, sir? I bet he hung up. He always does. He's never patient.
Ron, come on, baby.
Come on. I mean, Ron used to call in all the time, but see, I always make him wait.
He's still celebrating.
Yeah, when Ron actually calls in and has something good to say, I'll go to his call sooner. But until then, I make him wait for a little bit. So there's that. Okay. But again, the Reds win. I appreciate all the calls and everyone on Facebook and YouTube here today. What a win for the Reds. Again, 5-1. If you would bury this team at 1-5, you have to be excited about where they're at 5-1. I don't care. They're going on a 6-game road trip coming up, Kev, on the West Coast. They got 3 with the Diamondbacks. They got 3 with the Diamondbacks. They got 3 with the Giants, and they're 2-3 to start. I mean, I would love to know Shaw's, how he would rate them right now at 2-3. I have no clue. Are you supposed to be upset? Are you supposed to be happy? At least we won 2. I can't believe we lost 3. So sorry, Willie Hayden. Shout out to him. He goes, I just subscribed. Creation sensation. There you go. Shout out to Willie, man. I appreciate you. We're going to be getting you a Reds calendar coming up here in the near future. I promise you that much. But you can't, if a team starts 1-5 and you bury them, but then you can't be excited about a team that they're 5-1. I just feel bad for you. I feel sorry for you that you have to be that miserable of a person. I am the most anti-negative person ever. Kev, have you ever heard me be negative? No, I don't think you have.
A couple thousand times.
I'm always like, oh yeah, the Flyers, NIT, that's great. You know me, I'm all about the positivity. I mean, sure, you should be in the NCAA tournament with as much as you're bragging about it, but sure, the NIT, that's totally fine. It's totally great. It's totally fine. Who cares? The Cincinnati Bengals. Who cares if you win games? You got Joe Burrow. In fact, the Cincinnati fans think you don't even need to win games because you just get to brag about how Joe Burrow goes out to steakhouses with Chad Johnson all the time. I mean, that's all it takes to be a Bengals fan. Who cares about winning? I mean, Bengals fans rip the Browns for winning games and making the playoffs, but then try to make losing with Joe Burrow be cool. I'll never understand it. So there you go. All right. Shout out, by the way, to Owen Matlock. He's a 7-year-old Reds fan and listening right now. So a huge shout out to Owen. I didn't know we had kids listening to the show. I might have to change things up a bit. We have middle finger emojis. Callers calling me the A word. So I'm gonna clean it up. Shout out to Owen Matlock for being a 7-year-old listener of the show. But no, we appreciate him listening. Thank you for pointing that out.
Thanks, Owen.
Yeah, Owen, Owen. I'm gonna get you the Reds calendar, and I'm gonna get you a bobblehead as well. I appreciate Owen tuning in and listening. So there's that. Okay. We'll get back into some more of the Red stuff coming up around the corner, but I do want to talk a little Cincinnati Bengals because something I wanted to get into yesterday, Kev, it caught my eye. If you look at some of the issues going on in the NFL right now, like let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. What led to the butting of heads between Russell Wilson and the Seahawks? Mm-hmm. It was, hey, Russell, we would love your input on the offense. We would love your input on the draft. And then what ends up happening is they didn't accept his input. They didn't accept what he wanted to do. And then what ended up happening is because he didn't get his way, then he started throwing a tantrum. Then he wanted to force his way out of Seattle, even though he's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1. He's always, one of the top players in the NFL. Anytime, I feel like you're walking a dangerous line when you give your players power on, when you are allowing your players to do the job of the GM and the owner, I think you're not doing yourself any favors. I get why there are certain players who have earned the right to be able to have an input and have a say. Tom Brady definitely is at the point where he deserves input, where he deserves a say. I think that guys that have been around, like Big Ben, guys that have been around a long time that have won a ton of games. Russell Wilson, I do believe, deserves some input, but I don't think he deserves the final say. And I'm not saying that about him. I don't even think a Tom Brady deserves a final say. And I hear this all the time. Well, the Buccaneers, they're giving, Tom Brady gets to make every decision there. The Buccaneers are a losing franchise that right now it's like, when you're ugly and a hot girl, this is coming from me, of course. You know how when you're ugly and a hot girl actually gives you attention, you're that annoying guy. Oh, I don't know. What do you need? What do you want from me? Here's my money. Here's this. Here's that. You know what I mean? Like that's what the Buccaneers are doing. The Buccaneers act like they've never seen a hot girl before. The Buccaneers act like a team that has never had a hot girl give them attention before. And that's what the Cincinnati Bengals are doing right now. They have Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is like this good-looking chick that just winked at him, and now the Bengals are like, oh my god, here's my credit card, here's my bank card, here's the keys to my house, here's the keys to my car. You've only been dating a week, but the Bengals are willing to give him everything, right? Like there are some organizations like the Patriots that are like, no, Tom, I appreciate the 5 Super Bowls and all, but I'm Bill Belichick. I'm going to make the decisions. This is my team. This is my team, not yours, blah, blah, blah. So then the hot chick leaves, and then they got to find another hot chick. Right now they're dating ugly chicks, but it'll get better. So with that being said, I am not a big fan of you got to be careful when you give players certain responsibilities or power that go beyond just playing on the field, because then you run into what the Seattle Seahawks run into, Kev. So apparently Duke Tobin was asked about how much input Joe Burrow is getting on free agency and draft. And he didn't say he's not getting anything at all. He said that he's a very engaging individual. He loves engaging with engaging individuals, and that he does have a say in in the direction that they are going in. Now, I could be overreacting to that because it's the Bengals, and I have a habit of taking everything they do and spinning it to fit a negative narrative. But I'm going to but I'm going to position this in a way that I would for any team. I was not a fan of when I heard that, and I'm consistent here. Bengals fans, you have to understand this. I ripped the Browns when the Browns moved on from Freddie Kitchens, Kev, and I found out that Baker Mayfield was on the Zoom calls with the head coaches giving a thumbs up or a thumbs down, I said that is the worst thing that you can do. When Baker Mayfield signed off on Freddie Kitchens being the head coach, but he turned down, and by the way, now it's safe to say Mike McCarthy was not going to be a good fit, okay? But at the time, I thought that the Browns weren't in a position to turn down a Super Bowl winning head coach of coming in and running the team. But I thought it was absolutely ridiculous that the Browns gave the power to Baker Mayfield to Zoom into these interviews and basically at the end get to after they hung up with the head coach for the interview, Baker Mayfield got to give the thumbs up or the thumbs down on whether he wanted that coach or not. Baker chose Freddie Kitchens. And everyone's like, well, then why do you blame the GM for hiring Freddie? Because you gave the second-year player the power to make a decision of who the head coach is going to be. And just because they had a little buddy-buddy relationship, that doesn't make him a good head football coach. Bill Belichick, I don't even think has one friend in his life, and he's the best football coach out there. Mike Tomlin, is close with his players, but he doesn't care about being your friend. I mean, him and Big Ben, if he had a Big Ben, he doesn't care about being friends with moving forward. He needs a quarterback that's going to win him some football games, right? So when I hear that the Cincinnati Bengals are giving Joe Burrow input on who to draft and who to sign in free agency, Kev, that's a problem. I don't care if it's the quarterback and it's Joe Burrow and, Joe Burrow saved Athens and Joe Burrow this and Joe Burrow won us. Joe Burrow couldn't even beat out Dwayne Haskins at Ohio. That's just a dig. I'm sorry. I'm just joking. But Joe Burrow has played 10 games in the National Football League and has won less than a handful of them. Joe Burrow hasn't done anything. Joe Burrow has kind of given the team a little bit of life and a little bit of excitement, but Joe Burrow does not deserve anything in regards to input on who the Bengals should draft and who the Bengals have enough inexperienced people making decisions on who you should draft and who you should sign in free agency. You don't need a rookie quarterback making those decisions who has only played 10 games and has yet to even understand how to win in this league. Sure, he looked good. He nearly threw for 300 yards, but everyone's like, but man, if they would have won 5 or 6 of those one possession games, that's a quarterback that loses a lot of one possession games. You're going to, point is, I don't care about all that. I'm piling on, but he's only played 10 games. I was the biggest Baker Mayfield fan in the world. I thought they were stupid as heck for giving him power to hire a head coach. And I do not like the idea of allowing Joe Burrow to decide who they should draft, because apparently this whole Jamar Chase thing has built up because Joe Burrow really wants to play with his former teammate, Jamar Chase. As if that's the only wide receiver that you're ever going to be able to play with. That's ridiculous. I just think it's a slippery slope. I think the Seahawks would have been better off not approaching Russell Wilson with the opportunity to have input on the offense and in free agency and head coaches and that type of thing. But with that being said, Russell Wilson deserves it because he's won you a Super Bowl, taken you to one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He has, he's been around a while. Joe Burrow technically, and I'm going to take my hater hat off and just put it off to the side. Joe Burrow has done nothing to deserve to be able to voice his opinion. You know why I know he's not credible, Kev? Because if Joe Burrow, who, by the way, was sacked the third most times in the NFL last year and didn't play the final 2 months of the season, if a guy that got hit the third most times in the league and didn't even play the last 2 months of the season is telling you that you need a wide receiver instead of an offensive lineman, then he's not that intelligent. He's not that smart. He needs Shaw to tell him how to think because he can't think on his own. If Joe Burrow is not even smart enough to understand that you need an offensive lineman instead of a wide receiver, then you are playing video game football, not playing actual football, because he wants the flair, the excitement, the sexy. The Bengals don't deserve the sexy picks right now until they beef up front. Like I said, my analogy the other day was it's like having this super nice sports car that you put this nice paint job on, but the car doesn't run. So sure, the car is going to look nice, but you're not going anywhere. I think it's a mistake for Duke Tobin and the Bengals to be giving Joe Burrow input on this. Yes, I'm coming across as a hater because that's how everyone views me with the Bengals, but I said the same thing about Baker Mayfield and the Browns, so I'm consistent. I think this is a mistake. I do not think you should give power to the players in this regard because you hire, well, they don't have a GM technically, but you have guys in place to make these decisions. I don't think that the player's role is to make those decisions. And here's why, Kev, because that's the thing. Once you give the player that role one time, when you don't go back to them the second time to ask their opinion on something, guess what's going to be a problem at that point? I think you got to be very careful. The Seahawks, they thought they were doing the right thing in asking Russell Wilson's input, and it ended up blowing up in their face. I think you got to be very careful with this.
I have no problem with the quarterback of your franchise, and especially if you view him as the franchise and he's going to be there for a long time, having input. I'm not saying that the quarterback should be out there like, no, we're going to sign him, and him. All right, call me when the guys come in and sign their contract so we can take a picture for the gram. No, but I do believe that the quarterback of the future should have some type of input. Their voice should be heard. And I did believe that Baker Mayfield deserved to have his voice heard about the Browns situation. The biggest problem that happened with the Browns was Freddie Kitchens was overwhelmed with all the other responsibilities that a head coach has to do. When Freddie Kitchens was simply responsible for calling plays, he was perfectly fine. When he wasn't responsible for, hey, it's 4th and 3 at the 50. What you want to do, coach? Oh, what? Huh? Hey, coach, it's 3rd and 8. Do you want us to blitz? What? I was looking at the play sheet. So I think Freddie Kitchens got overwhelmed with that and then overwhelmed with expectations. I think that was the demise of Freddie Kitchens. If Freddie Kitchens was put in a situation where if they did hire, what was the DC that was the interim coach, Greg Williams. Greg Williams. If Greg Williams was the head coach and Freddie Kitchens was still in the role as the OC and just strictly responsible for coaching the quarterbacks and drawing up plays and calling plays and had not an other care in the world, I think he'd have been perfectly fine. And I think that's what it was, a learning lesson, not only for Baker Mayfield, but for Freddie Kitchens and the whole Browns organization. So there's not a ton of people out there that can be a head coach and call plays. There's only a handful of those guys that do it in the NFL. There's only a handful of guys that do it in college. Matter of fact, the great Urban Meyer, he's never called plays. He's not calling plays. He's on the headset. Hey, what are we running? Okay, cool. Like, he's not dialing up the plays. So it's a very fine line when it comes to that. As far as Russell Wilson, yeah, he should definitely have input. And I know I read an article about when he was talking to them about, play calls and, game plans going into games. Like, he'll have like a whole sheet of things written out and we're not going to do that. Like, I think that's silly if you're going to have a guy that's going to be leading your franchise and don't have his input or having plays that he's comfortable running. He's the guy going out there, hiking the ball, snapping the ball, throwing the ball. So you probably want to have plays that he feels comfortable running. So I think that's a blown opportunity. As far as the Bengals are concerned, yes, Joe Burrow only played 10 games. Joe Burrow is going into his second year. I believe the most of his time should be focusing on rehabbing and studying the playbook and getting ready to be back on the field. But yes, I do believe he should have some type of input. Now, you take that input and you take it with the rest of the decision makers. His vote is not more than anybody else's vote, because we got situations where GMs draft players that the coaches don't even want. So, we heard you. We appreciate your input. But as a collective, as a Cincinnati Bengal organization, we felt player X is better suited for our team where we're going to this direction. Thank you for your input. We're going to keep that on file. We maybe not be able to get Jamar Chase, but maybe we can get Kadarius Toney from Florida in the second round. Hope you're happy throwing to him. Like, input is always needed. And, we deal with that here. We have meetings and Zoom meetings all the time. And, a lot of those meetings are just like, but when there's good information that comes out of it, we both say, you know what? I ain't feel like being on that call, but you know what? I got to admit, I did get some good information out of that. So more information isn't a bad thing.
I'd like to be in the meetings you're on.
I got one tomorrow. You want to take my place?
As soon as I have one of them damn meetings where I feel like that, I'll let you know. But
I got one tomorrow at noon.
Here's why, and I brought this up on purpose about Joe Burrow choosing a receiver over an offensive lineman. Quarterbacks, like players, are selfish individuals, and they should be. And again, when you hear the word selfish, it has a negative connotation to it, but hear me out. They should be. Joe Burrow has a 10+, maybe at the best, hopefully a 10+ year career, but you're not promised that. So every decision that you make needs to be done, not just for the betterment of you, but for the team as a whole. Because the better the team does, the better you, I don't think it's the better he does, the better the team does, because he was pretty damn good last year and didn't do a whole hell of a lot. So, they didn't win, a lot of football games. They lost a lot of close football games that they should have won had he completed one more pass. Maybe didn't throw as many interceptions. He didn't throw a lot of touchdowns. I don't care. I know he threw for a lot of yards, but he did not throw for a lot of touchdowns. That was actually kind of the big knock on him as the season was rolling on, is he's just not, he's not closing out, scoring drives. So with that being said, I know that when you ask a player what they want, Kev, of course he's going to say Jamar Chase. Of course he's going to say a very cool, exciting pass catcher, his friend Jamar Chase. That answer right there is why I don't trust Joe Burrow. And that's why I didn't trust Baker Mayfield. When you pick the coach that was best for you and not what was best for the team, that's where I have a problem with Baker Mayfield in that situation. When Joe Burrow picks a guy that is best for him and not best for the team, that's where I have a problem with it. That's where I have a problem with that, because what's best for the team, Kev, and what's best for him, actually, whether he believes it or not, is that offensive lineman. And that's just what's crazy to me. Shaw's asking, weren't you the host calling for Pitts 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, I was saying that the Bengals needed to attack offensive line and free agency, and then you don't deserve to have Pitts or Jamar Chase unless you actually go out and fulfill your promise of addressing the offensive line. Getting one damn average player on the offensive line is not addressing the offensive line. The best offensive line prospect is right there in the first round in Penei Sewell. And all of a sudden now, apparently his arms have shrunk, and apparently the Bengals have standards for offensive line, and now they don't want him because he has short arms. That's just some BS excuse that they can use to pick one of the sexier names, the skill position players, the pass catchers, whether it's be Pitts or Jamar Chase. And by the way, like I said, it will be exciting. Chad Johnson was exciting. Ocho Cinco was exciting. Getting T.O. there was exciting. But there were other needs that team needed before you needed those types of players. But those types of players, and I've always said this about Mike Brown. Mike Brown doesn't care about winning. He cares about having some kind of commodities on the team that are going to get you to go to games. Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell is not going to get you to go to games. I'm not going to say, man, I can't wait to go to the Bengals game next year to watch Penei Sewell. But Jamar Chase is going to fill up Paul Brown Stadium. Mm-hmm. Chad Johnson filled up Paul Brown Stadium. Terrell Owens filled up, Paul Brown Stadium. Maybe not individually, but you know what I mean? They had characters. They had characters on their team. He just cares about those guys. That he doesn't care about getting guys that are actually going to help you win. And I'm not saying that they can't help you win, but you can't win games unless you address what's up front. But bottom line is, and by the way, when you say you think that the players should have input, I don't get why, because there's so many people that are paid to make decisions for the team that I just don't think the players have. They should not be involved in that at all, because if I'm Zach Taylor, who probably doesn't have a whole lot of say, because he was hired as a 12-year-old puppet to run this team, he doesn't have say. So if I'm Zach Taylor, I'm a little annoyed.
No, he should have say too. I believe the coaches should have a voice as well.
But some coaches don't. You've talked about it, that owners, GMs don't make decisions without the coach's consent. So now you want to get a player's opinion on this too. I just feel like it's too slippery of a slope. And I just don't get it. And this goes back to my point about the Bengals having a hot girl wink at them for the first time, and now they're giving them their room key or their house key. They're giving them their social security number. They're giving them their everything. They're giving them their everything because
to the 401k.
The Bengals aren't confident in themselves to have a long-lasting relationship with Joe Burrow. So what they're doing is, well, if I just keep spoiling him, if I keep buying him presents, if I keep doing this and that, maybe he'll like me more. That's what I feel is going on here, because Tom Brady, I know that he ultimately left because of this, but they didn't need Tom Brady's input at any point of his run of the Patriots, and I think they did pretty good. Now I'm doing what you do. I'm using the outlier, the ultimate outlier as an excuse, but I just don't think that they should be asking players for input on that. You pay too many people to make decisions to all of a sudden ask your quarterback, who's only going to be around for at the most 10 years, to make a decision. I just think that's a slippery slope, a dangerous slope at that. So anyways, all right. Dylan Carell says, subscribed on YouTube. Don't send whole Reds calendar. Just want month of April, a.k.a. when they will actually play well. Dylan, I know what you're doing. It's not going to work. I appreciate it, though. Shout out to Dylan and Madison and her family, all watching us live on YouTube right now. So there you go. Shout out to the Clarks. There we go. All right, 457-9464. Who we have on hold? We had a caller on hold?
The Ron and Kevin. Well, Kevin is gone. The Ron.
The Ron is back? Oh, let's bring on the Ron. Is it the Ron or Mo Ron? Who's it going to be today?
Hey, I'm not calling.
It's Mo Ron. How are you? Right? Don't do it.
I'm not calling to insult you, but see, you always start the fight.
I don't start nothing. I finish it. All right, Ron, I'm just joking. You are the Ron. Right. What do you got for us today? Go Bucks. I'll give you a go Bucks.
All right. Well, I didn't call to talk about football. We already know how that finished. But but anyway, I am excited for the Reds. I mean, I've lived here 30 years. I've watched the Big Red Machine, and the town of Cincinnati's got a buzz going. I was really impressed with Nick Castellanos' interview the other day. He said he's tired of losing. He's been on losing teams.
Yep.
He wants to win. He wants to win. And this team's fired up. And, ride the pony while you can. But I'm really impressed with, first of all, Joey Votto. He's looking totally different. know what I mean?
And you know what's funny is Joey Votto's hitting like just a hair over 200 right now. He's actually playing poorly, technically, right? But no, he's been look. There's really no one that's playing very poorly offensively right now, and it's just going to be one of those situations where. And I tweeted this out earlier, Ron, where I said, the Reds are spoiling us because when they start winning by margins of only 1 to 2 runs a game, and they're only winning 4-3 or 4-2 or 3-1, we're going to feel like this team is playing horrible offensively because we're going to keep using this 6-game stretch right here and say, man, they're not playing like they were to start the year. They're playing way above what you're supposed to be playing offensively. Last year's average runs per game for the best team in baseball, the Dodgers, was 6. Okay, and the Reds are averaging just a hair under 10 right now. So it's not going to be fair to compare the Reds' success moving forward to the stretch that they are on. I don't expect them to keep averaging 9 runs, 10 runs a ball game. So that's going to be something to keep in mind. Is they're not going to keep playing at this level, but they're still going to be playing good quality baseball. I predicted them to win 85 games. I think they're going to be in that stretch as long as they continue playing somewhat at this level.
Yeah. Well, what I also called about is when's the last time you see David Bell leave a pitcher in 6-7 innings?
Well, and again, to David Bell's defense, and again, I'm all about defending David Bell. Look, I do like David Bell. It's because they're winning right now. But Ron, you bring up a good point, but also keep in mind in the 6th inning, he also had 68 pitches. Luis Castillo did. When sometimes David Bell pulls guys too prematurely. Then there are other times where I agree that they need to be pulled. And let's be honest, you should average about 15 pitches an inning. Luis Castillo was at 58 pitches or 58 pitches in the 6th inning or whatever it was. He was so efficient today. That's why he allowed him to pitch deep into the ballgame as he did. Plus, it's early. You want to get his innings up a little bit, and when he's pitching well, you want to take advantage of that. Plus, it's the Pirates, so it felt like a spring training game, right? So I'm with you. I was impressed that he left him in, but he was also pitching very efficient. His pitch count was not very high, which warranted keeping him in longer.
Yeah, and that comment I made you couldn't talk about. I meant to use mouth.
Yeah, Ron, you sicko. I don't even know what the hell that was supposed to mean. My goodness.
It meant that I had to open my big mouth and the show starts turning browns again.
Yep, that was your fault. That was all on you. Then you got me yelled at. Hey, Ron, it's good hearing from you. You take care.
All right. Have a good one, bud.
Later. Go Browns. All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here on 1410 ESPN Radio. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash presented by Kirkland and Sommers. Again, please help me out. YouTube, subscribe to ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. All right. My boss, Mike, all he does is yell at me. Oh, I'm sorry. I gotta call him, I gotta be Mr. Edwards. I gotta call him Mr. Edwards. He's my boss. Mr. Edwards. Sorry. Mike gets all mad. I called him Mike the other day and he goes, really? I've been your boss for 6 years and you call me Mike? So I have to call him Mr. Edwards now. He gets all Mr. Sensitive. But he's yelling at me all the time because our YouTube numbers aren't high enough. So please help me out so Mr. Edwards can stop being mad at me all the damn time. Go make Mr. Edwards. If you don't want to make me happy, fine. Go make Mr. Edwards happy. Go like and follow and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'd really be helping me out. Kev's the favorite. So I'm trying to I want to take the credit for why the YouTube subscribers are going up. So you would really be helping us out. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go anywhere. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash presented by Kirkland and Sommers next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hi, I'm Sales Manager Jason High at Germain Honda Beaver Creek, proud recipient of the prestigious President's Award. We are your local Honda dealer, and we invite you to see our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility. You'll be amazed at our selection, and remember, all new Hondas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us at Route 35, just east of 675, conveniently located near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I'll see you soon.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Seal Coating, protecting the asphalt surfaces around your home, office, or commercial property. Crack filling, asphalt sealing, and parking lot striping. Find us at CulletSealCoating.com.
30% of ID theft victims suffered multiple types of identity theft. Get LifeLock. Save up to 25% off your first year at LifeLock.com, promo code RISK.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says I'm a catch more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, so let's see how many. We just started this YouTube account, okay, guys? So, my boss, Mr. Mike Edwards, he's just been super jerky about getting this damn YouTube subscriber list up. And again, it was kind of slow at the beginning because I really wasn't pushing it. So now he yelled at me, threatened to fire me last week if I didn't push this damn YouTube, this channel. So again, help me out. Go to YouTube and subscribe to this thing. We started the day at 25. We're up to 33. That's all you guys can do? Seriously? Seriously, I have to get this baby up. I have to make it look like people actually care about us, right? Like, I mean, you don't have to actually care. You could just pretend to care, but just like the dang thing. Look, I even have these nice Cincinnati Reds calendars that the team just sent us today. I also have these magnet calendars with the Joe Morgan pennant down there at the bottom, too. We're also going to be getting Mike Moustakas bobbleheads. We're going to be getting Castellanos bobbleheads. We're going to be getting Marty Brenneman pennant. I mean, we have a lot of really cool prizes that we're going to be getting throughout the year, and I need your help. So, again, those calendars, the next 10 people that go, and actually I need 4 more. We need 4 more. So the next 4 people that go and like the YouTube channel, I'm going to be reaching out to you on YouTube and you're going to be getting these prizes too. You're going to be getting the team calendar with the Joe Morgan pennant at the bottom. So head to YouTube, subscribe to the Wing 1410 Dayton's YouTube channel. I would really appreciate it. Again, we're live on YouTube every single day, so it's very important that that's where you find us, because eventually we're going to be jumping off this Facebook thing and only on YouTube. So I need everyone to make sure that you are moving over to YouTube where you could take in the show. So keep that in mind. So I learned today that there's a middle finger emoji. I had no idea. And it took on a life of its own. So now we are going to, I need you guys to rate the show. On a scale of 1 middle finger emoji to 10, how would you rate today's show? Ron says today's show is about, let me count. I need Shaw's help. I don't know how to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not bad. Ron said today's show, he rates it about 7 middle finger emojis. Not bad. I appreciate that. So thank you. So again, I wanted on a scale of 1 to 10 middle finger emojis. How would you rate the show? But all right. But no, nonetheless, we got to do a lot about the Reds today. Of course, we jumped into the Cincinnati Bengals aspect of it. Look, bottom line is that draft is fast approaching. And, every interview I hear regarding the Cincinnati Bengals, it's like they're really intrigued by Jamar Chase. They're really intrigued by Kyle Pitts. But overall, one interview I heard today on Colin's show was that everyone that he knows within the Bengals front office saying that they are not going to let Penei Sewell go if he is available for them, which I don't see how he wouldn't be available to them. The Falcons pick is interesting right there at number 4, because now there's reports that they are open to trading that. You'd have to think that anyone that's actually in love with, with getting a Justin Fields, that they would trade up and get him. So I'm curious how that's going to play out as well. I mean, there's so many moving parts that we're going to be discussing in the coming weeks as the draft is just around the corner.
Yeah, man, ton of moving parts. I mean, Atlanta, the position that they're in, talking about their pick is for sale. Are they going to try to trade back and get more weapons for Matty Ice? Are they going to stand pat and get their quarterback of the future, potentially Justin Fields? Are they going to stand pat and draft offensive lineman or another weapon? I mean, it's tons of moves out there. Like you said, the draft's going to be here before we know it. But until then, there's a ton of talk. There's a ton of moves. I mean, obviously, everything that's going on with Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans, they're like at a standstill situation because nobody wants to touch that situation with him. So it's so many moving parts out there with tons of teams, and not just like the teams at the top of the draft. It's teams at the back end of the draft that are looking to move up because they feel like they're that impact player away from a Super Bowl run.
Absolutely. By the way, real quick, Gary Mabes on Facebook says he loves the show. So all my YouTube burner accounts are working right now. They let you know. So shout out to Gary. I appreciate you. Thank you for that. We appreciate that as well. Todd Pierce says, LOL. I don't know what I don't know. He just said LOL. But he did say nice show. Thank you. So, Todd, I appreciate that as well. So, again, and these are all coming in on YouTube. We're getting a lot of YouTube people jumping in, which I appreciate, by the way. And by the way, I keep saying, see, we're up to 45 people watching on YouTube right now. So that's pretty dang cool, at least coming in through the multiple YouTube outlets that we have. So that's cool. We appreciate everybody. Just go and subscribe. A couple things here to close out the show, Kev. Arizona has moved on from Sean Miller. It's been a tough year for the Miller brothers. Archie out of Indiana, now Sean out of Arizona.
I didn't know he was there 12 years.
He was there a while.
Yeah, I read the article. It said 12 years. I was like, has it?
4 years too long. I mean, I don't know how he was able to keep his job. So what's interesting is I don't know what kind of deal Bill Self worked out with Kansas, but Bill Self and Sean Miller are the same. Like they're both being investigated for the same deals.
Right.
And you know that Bill Self is as guilty as can be because Bill Self worked out so the second that the North Carolina job. And I did say that I felt Bill Self would be a name involved in that. I know North Carolina wanted to keep it in the family, but I haven't Kevin. I believe if Bill Self wanted that job would have been his. I think that they would have rather have gone to I know that Ohio State felt comfortable going to Ryan Day, but let's be honest, there was no big name coach out there that made sense. Urban Meyer was available for the Ohio State job after the 1 year with Fickell. That just made sense. I know Ryan Day's done a great job, but let's be honest, I don't know who that name would be, but if there was a big name out there available to take that Buckeye job, it would have probably gone to the bigger name over Ryan Day, but there was no other name that made sense. And it's not disrespectful to Day, but when you have a big program like that, you don't give it to a coach with no head coaching experience unless you have to. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's true. Ohio State, there was no better name out there than Ryan Day. There was Urban Meyer available when that job became open. North Carolina, there were a lot of available names, but no name was a home run hire. I don't think that they got it wrong with the guy they hired now, but I do think Bill Self would have been a home run higher if North Carolina would have been able to acquire him at the time. But Bill Self works out this he works out this weird deal with Kansas on the lifetime the contract where he can't be fired. I need to talk to my boss, Mr. Mike Edwards, and get that. You can't fire me no matter what I say. I don't think he's going to go for that. But Bill Self working out the deal in the contract of, oh, you can't fire me no matter what comes out of this investigation. That was genius. I don't know who his agent is, but kudos to him.
Yeah.
And Kansas is pretty stupid for buying into that. But Kansas is like, well, if you're willing to stay here during this investigation, even if we might be having, postseason bans for a few years, you would rather have a postseason ban with a good coach in Bill Self than to lose Bill Self and have a postseason ban and then not get any good quality coaches. You know what I mean? So it makes sense for both sides, I guess, from that perspective. But he got that deal because of the fact that North Carolina, the job came open. But Sean Miller, they moved on from him. Now, I don't think Sean Miller, I would never pick Sean Miller over Bill Self to begin with, even on Sean Miller's best year. But he had a $1.5 million buyout, Kev. His brother had a $10 million buyout. Do they have the same agent, by the way? I don't know.
No idea.
And I know that, look, the bottom line is too, and from what I've heard, when Archie was in negotiations with Indiana, the Dayton Flyers had countered and offered him quite a substantial buyout. And when that buyout with the Dayton Flyers was taken to Indiana by Archie Miller, they said, okay, we'll match it. Because I'm not saying Archie would have stayed with UD, but UD gave him quite the offer. He was going to be a top 10 compensated coach. The buyout would have been significant. And that's he wasn't going to have a buyout. He almost signed a deal with Indiana without a buyout. Whew. And because of the buyout that was offered from Dayton, according to my sources, I get to do the my sources game now. How about that? I'm Mr. Dan Orlovsky. How about that? Except I'm not ruining someone's credibility. But my sources tell me that because of the big buyout offer that UD was willing to give Archie, he took that buyout offer and used it as leverage to get that within his offer at Indiana. And of course, the rest is history. It pays to get fired if you are at Indiana. But nonetheless, so Archie got $10 million to be fired, and Sean only got 1.5. So I think the parents are expecting a much bigger Christmas present from Archie this year than Sean.
Hey man, getting paid not to work. What a concept. The thing about everything going on at Kansas, the new athletic director is probably just as dumb as the other one that hired Les Miles after going through all the issues that he went through his last days at LSU, saying, pulling an Urban Meyer, we vetted this situation, and then it comes out
real
they
quick
didn't
on
vet this situation.
They didn't, but there was nothing to vet because I blame LSU. Didn't LSU hide that? Like LSU got away with this.
The AD.
So it was
LSU,
it was known.
Yes.
Okay.
The AD at LSU said we should fire him and brought it to the board of trustees and the boosters, and the boosters like, no, we're cool. And just like we talked about, like the boosters have basically just as much, if not more, power than the AD.
That's why Urban was pushed out at Ohio State. Let's be clear.
And then the AD was like, all right, and then stuff came out, and then not even came out. Like they started losing football games more than normal, and then they fired him halfway through that next season. Then he got hired at Kansas. They do whatever they do at Kansas football, which is not win a lot of games outside of that one season they won the Orange Bowl. And now things came out about him. They fired him, and then the AD stepped down. Now the new AD just gave a guy that is allegedly dirty and Bill Self a lifetime contract, so he's not that bright either. Yeah, when things come out about Bill Self, he'll probably be stepping down as well.
So that lifetime. So we saw Bill Self get that lifetime deal with Kansas, and we also saw the lifetime deal with Calipari at Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And I wonder, too, and I love Calipari. Calipari's not a favorite amongst many, and I get it. But my opinion of him changed on that documentary that ESPN did on him years ago. I loved his approach to recruiting when he said, when I go after the best players in recruiting, winning a championship, that's just a given. He goes, I shouldn't have to go on the road to these kids and sell them on, we want to win. He goes, of course, they want to win, we want to win. Why do I have to waste time on the recruiting trail about that? It was fascinating hearing the stories of the different situations of the individual recruits that he would go into. And it was more about, what do I got to do to get you to the NBA? Like, you have to speak the player's language of, okay, yes, not just your goal for the next, if you're good enough, 1 year. But what's your next goal for the next 3 to 4 years if you're a 4-year player? But hey, and 1 year from now, you come play for me. I'm going to put you in position to be making millions in about a year to get you out of here. But in the meantime, here's about $500,000 just to kind of keep you good. No, but you know what I mean? Like I totally, my opinion on him totally changed. Also, but so he got that lifetime deal at Kentucky because of the UCLA job that opened up.
Leverage.
Just like Bill Self got it. Bill Self got the lifetime deal at Kansas because of the North Carolina job that opened up. Real quick on this, I watched the Bob Knight documentary last night again.
I did not.
It was on, and did you remember watching it the first time?
Yeah.
Man, that was nuts. Like that, I had flashbacks to the Urban Meyer situation at Ohio State, where it's like
which one
he had, the one. He had so much power there. He had so much power at Ohio State, and Bob Knight ran Indiana. Yeah, that documentary was fascinating. I remember it was fascinating when I watched it the first time, but watching it last night, there was a lot of things I'd forgotten about that I'm like, holy smokes. And, some of that's all on the screen. Yes, it's on Bob Knight. You can't excuse the way he acted and everything like that. But when you're given rope, when you're given a leash and an opportunity to act a certain way, yes, it's on Indiana just as, if not more than on him. But my goodness, I mean, how much of a fool is he, though, after being told you touch a player? God, by the way, that would never happen today. As I'm watching that documentary, I'm like, dude, he would have been fired just for the allegations today and without the tape.
Like football coaches can't even grab players by the face mask anymore. You know what I'm saying? And
they're soft. That's why.
And I mean, the way Bob Knight was doing his players, this is basketball. Like, it was insane, and you're right. Yes, the people like Bob Knight who are put in power and given lifetime contracts and told to the mountaintops how important they are, and they're the most highest paid state employees, and they're gods in those college towns. Yes, they are culpable, but the people that give them those contracts and give them that power to make them feel that way, they're just as culpable.
Absolutely. Last thing as we head out here, appreciate everyone that subscribed. By the way, we got YouTube up to, again, it sounds like a low number, but we were only at 11 just earlier this week. So we're at 42. So I appreciate everyone that keeps adding to this. This isn't enough, but this is a good start. So I appreciate everyone who's jumping over on the YouTube side of things because we're going to be moving over to that here. I know it's time to go. I don't need the alarm to tell me, but it is.
Man, it's 80 degrees.
Bubba on Facebook, he says, speak better about the Bengals and I'll think about switching to YouTube. Well, enjoy watching on Facebook. And Brian, Bubba, you should have learned from today. I was bad-mouthing the Reds a year ago, and I have nothing but positive things to say about the Reds because they're winning. And when the Bengals win, I'll say nice things. So, Bubba, you might be sticking to Facebook for a long time then because I don't see the Bengals winning anytime soon. And when they do, I'll have nothing but positive things to say because it's amazing how that works. When you lose, I call you out for being bad. And when you win, I call you out for being good. It's really not that hard. It's not that hard. We'll be back tomorrow, folks. Have a great night. Go Reds. Go Browns. Hooday. Go Flyers. Go Raiders. Go Buckeyes. Go Blue Jackets. Go everybody. We don't always have to be so confrontational, right, Kev? Take care.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's